cover the Cougs. There's no day off. It's BYU and number 10 Texas Tech. That's a big day. But no, I appreciate that. Let's see if BYU can deliver a birthday gift and give Cougar Nation a top 10 victory over the Red Raiders. And BYU's already got one this year, a couple weeks ago against Iowa State. They'll look to get it done again today. But thank you, Nate. We're going to have a loaded show over the next 3 hours. You brought it up, BYU spring football. We'll hit on the Cougars on the gridiron. We'll have interviews with Isaiah Glasker. Nate caught up with Isaiah earlier this week at practice. You'll also hear from running back Sione Moa and Paki Finau, two intriguing players in this BYU offense. What's the outlook for those guys in 2026? You'll hear from those guys as well. We'll give you some news and notes from spring practice as well. But we got to start off with Senior Day today. Again, BYU and Texas Tech. Tip-off tonight at 8:30 p.m. Pregame at 7:30. It's Senior Day, Nate, and this is kind of newsy. Only 4 players are going to be recognized on Senior Day. Those players include Richie Saunders, Mihailo Boskovic, Jared McGregor, and Kaba Keita. No Dawson Baker listed on the Senior Day festivities, so maybe there's a chance we see Dawson Baker back next year. But just your thoughts on this matchup tonight and the Senior Day class.
Yeah, I mean, you said it in the open that Texas Tech is probably going to be coming in angry because of their senior night loss. The thing that concerns me about this one, Mitch, is because BYU's been in a downward spiral since Richie Saunders went down. They're 1-4 since Richie went down. It's a bummer that Richie can't play in a senior night tonight. I imagine you saw that they're giving out headbands tonight in honor of Richie Saunders. So it's a game that you wish you could play in, but I think it has all the makings for a BYU upset. And I say that because BYU, Kevin Young said this a number of times in the last few weeks, is that he loves the spot BYU's in when their back's up against the wall. They threw everything at the table. You know, they're fighting for a tournament seed line. And so BYU's in a position to make a run, but I think these seniors, you know, Kaba Keita, Mihailo Boskovic, maybe Jared McGregor gets a little bit of time, just kind of a courtesy time.
Whoa, that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think Mihailo and Kaba are going to be pretty fired up for a win tonight. So hopefully that bodes well for BYU.
It's an important game for, I think, both teams because the NCAA tournament seeding is the most important piece to all of this. Texas Tech wants to be established as a top 16 seed. BYU would love to just get back in the win column and start trending up and give another data point to the selection committee that this team without Richie Saunders is still a force that you don't want to mess with in the NCAA tournament. These are two teams that are both moving forward without their star players. BYU lost Richie Saunders on February 14th. 3 days later, on February 17th in Tempe, Arizona, Texas Tech lost star JT Toppin to an ACL injury as well. And both teams, since those star players went down with injuries, have notched big wins against Iowa State. Texas Tech has had more success than BYU. I will say Tech, their schedule since the loss of Toppin has been a little bit easier, in my opinion. BYU's not the greatest schedule, but they've dropped games that they were not expected to lose. UCF, most notably, West Virginia. Then, of course, they lost to Cincinnati earlier this week. But it's an important game from seeding purposes for both of these teams, and that's what I think makes this game an important one because despite all the, worry from Cougar Nation about this BYU team, they've got an opportunity at home on Senior Day in the Marriott Center to notch a quad 1A victory, and that gets them in a position, potentially, if they get it tonight, to probably be in that 6-seed territory and avoid the slide if BYU has a little bit of success also in Kansas City next week.
Yeah, well, what more could you ask for at this point of the season? With BYU playing the way they have the last 3 weeks or so, if it wasn't for AJ DeBonta, I don't know if BYU would be much in the national conversation just because of how they've been playing recently. So part of me just wants BYU to get a win tonight so that they can move forward. I think the conference tournament is kind of moot. I haven't always felt that way about the conference tournament, but a couple years ago, Mitch, when Iowa State was playing Houston in the conference championship game, and I believe it was Iowa State who just put the hammer down on Houston, and they still wound up with a 2 seed, and then Houston had the 1 seed. So that just kind of showed me that maybe these conference tournaments don't do as much as you would think for the seed lines. So in a way, I just think this is BYU's real last opportunity to get that big win. Get a big win, go into the conference tournament, whatever happens there happens. And then, in my opinion, you just get kind of a fresh, clean break and a clean start leading into the NCAA tournament. And ideally, you're not in a position where you have to play a first 4 team because you want to have those extra few days to prepare for an opponent.
Since we were last on the airwaves, BYU lost to West Virginia last Saturday, 79-71 in Morgantown, and then they lost to Cincinnati on Tuesday, 90-68, a winless road trip out east in the Big 12. West Virginia game, I thought BYU, that awful kind of midway through the first half, they get down 14 at the half. That was an issue once again, the slow starts. I kind of thought BYU was avoiding that. I know the UCF game was also a slow start, but that was an issue. But then the Cincinnati game was just a complete mess, I think, from start to finish. Cincinnati, I said on Cougar Tracks, I think they might be one of the 5 best teams BYU's faced this year. I think Cincinnati is flying high. They have been an outstanding basketball team. So I don't look at that as oh no, the bottom has fallen out from BYU. I do think this BYU team can bounce back, but I just think that I want to see BYU play well for an entire 40 minutes tonight, Nate. And I don't want to see BYU have these 10-minute stretches where you go, what just happened here? Where's the defensive effort? Where's the intensity? I want to see tonight a 40-minute game where BYU is playing with an intensity that makes you feel like there's urgency. I didn't get that sense from the Cincinnati game that there was any urgency from this team where it's like, guys, this is an opportunity to get a quad 1 victory and help your seeding in the NCAA tournament. I know you're going to be in the big dance. That's fine, but don't get complacent. You want to try to climb that seed line. I want to see some urgency from tonight from this BYU team.
Yeah, I do too, Mitch. And I was thinking back last year when BYU was in the Big 12 tournament, they played against Houston, and it was a game that it didn't feel like BYU was ever really in it, but that second half kind of jolt that Keba provided, there was so much intensity, and he was throwing down dunks, he was getting big blocks. I want to see the same kind of intensity and fire from BYU because I feel like that's been lacking, and I don't know if that's just because Richie Saunders was kind of that, motor, the motor that BYU basketball had, and since he's been gone, it's been kind of missing. But I want to see Keba really take charge tonight, show that senior leadership, just kind of be a spark that BYU I feel like has been lacking for lack of a better term these past few weeks.
Kevin Young's an NBA guy. We know that. This team has a little bit of NBA vibes where sometimes you see NBA teams feel like they can flip the switch. And this team's got a little bit of that vibe where I get this sense that they feel confident that they can flip the switch and be good. Is that a recipe for success in college basketball? I wouldn't say so, but look, we've seen many BYU teams in our lifetime where they're flying high, riding high, big win streak, going into March, and then dud, lay an egg. Last year would be an exception. BYU was on a roll and got to the Sweet 16. So maybe this is going to be a different path. We're all still kind of getting used to life in the Big 12. We were talking before the show, BYU's got 10 losses on the year, and typically you'd say, well, that's not that great of a season for BYU, but, you look at the strength of schedule in the net rankings, BYU has the 15th toughest schedule this season. They've challenged themselves, and the grind of the Big 12 is real. And I think that they know that the finish line is approaching. I just think tonight, though, I want to see a complete effort from this team. If Texas Tech still beats you, tip of the cap. But I don't want to see stretches where it's just wide open threes from the opponent. Because that's what we saw the last time BYU was at home against UCF, where it's like, guys, do you care? And I think that was at times questioned. And that's what led to some Cougar fans booing at the Marriott Center the last time. Cougar fans can get on board with a team that they know is bringing the intensity for a full 40 minutes. Because we know the talent is there with this team. I think that's the frustration part, is that we know that the talent is there, particularly at the top end. and you're seeing a little bit of momentum from Alexei Kostic. You know that Kaba Kate has got it in him. When he's on, he can be really impactful for this team. So bring it together and bring that intensity for a full 40 minutes. And with the Cougar Nation crowd behind you at the Marriott Center, I always like BYU's chances to spring a win in that building and get it done and avoid back-to-back losses. Let's continue to talk BYU Texas Tech around the corner here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and it's powered by KSL Sports.
Imagine all that could happen in 5 years. Jobs change, kids grow, but what if you had reliable, intelligent Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Well, thanks to the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to your devices that need the most, that finds and fixes any issues before you notice. It's like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected. You get incredible gaming speeds on multiple devices and no one battling for bandwidth. For the next 5 years, all your devices in perfect harmony, and you get the best equipment, no annual contract, no fees, no strings. So even though the kids will grow up and you still won't understand 6-7, your internet will stay sharp, reliable, and the price stays put. Plus, get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. All with the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Select plans only.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jeff's day is off to a slow start. So he heads to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination, where Sammy, a local AutoZoner, tests his battery for free. Looks like he just needs a charge, and Sammy does that for free too. In no time at all, Jeff is back on the road, ready to finish the day strong. Free battery testing and charging at every store. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hi, I'm Mike Kay at My Policy Quote, and if you missed open enrollment or did enroll in one of those marketplace government plans, it's not too late. I save my clients 30 to 60%. That's an average of $3,500 to $9,000 in premium savings. At My Policy Quote, you can choose any doctor, zero deductible for outpatient expenses, and oh, one more thing, premiums are not tied to your income, so there's no surprise tax penalty at the end of the year like those government plans. And unlike those ACA plans where the use prices are dictated, with me, all of your costs are managed by you, so you control your out-of-pocket. If you pay your own health insurance, you're on COBRA, uninsured, your employer is just too much, or even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found Good RX. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing
And same-day pickup.
That's Good RX, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new. It's inherited. A ring from a grandmother. A necklace tucked away in a drawer. Pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jeweler specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design, every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday here on KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you. Want to give a shout out to BYU women's basketball. Excellent run in the Big 12 tournament. The Cougars lost yesterday in the quarterfinals in Kansas City to Big 12 regular season champion TCU, but Lee Kumard's squad has proven that they are on an upward trajectory. The last 3 years, BYU women's basketball was just kind of wandering mediocrity, 500 records, sub 500 at best. Lee Kumard's got that thing going. There's still a big gap between them and, top 10 caliber teams like the one they faced yesterday, but they're on the bubble, Nate, and there could be a chance that BYU maybe sneaks into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and it's cool to see, especially coming off a year where this is Lee Kumard's first year as the head coach, and that could be argued that it probably should have happened a few years ago, but
I think this has proven that the last 3 years they wasted time. They should just went to Lee at the beginning. I think they would have kept the machine going from Juddy to Kumard.
Yeah, and the girls loved him because a few years ago, I was working with BYU Athletic Communications, and I had a lot of time where I was helping with the women's team with post-game interviews and things like that, and the girls just loved Lee Kumard. Yep. He was great, so it was kind of surprising when they didn't go with him the first go-around, but I think it just shows now, yes, they're playing at a great level, given that they had a shorter offseason in a sense because they had to wait for the coach to get hired,
True.
and then he had to recruit players back out of the portal and make sure that like a Delaney Gibb came back to the team. But I think it gives the team some confidence heading into next season when they can have a full year of offseason to work together, to recruit, to get players out of the portal and see what they can build.
I don't know if they're an NCAA tournament team because they got a few things stacked up against them. They don't have any quad one victories. And we know, I think you and I are like the biggest reminders to Cougar Nation of this. We always let people know, like the Sunday thing with NCAA tournament, especially the Olympic sports, the non-revenue generating teams. It seems like that is a bigger hurdle. We see it with softball. We've seen it with baseball. And because the non-revenue generating, the national titles are played on Sunday. So if you can eliminate a team that could completely alter the schedule, potentially, again, unlikely, but BYU is tricky to put in the bracket, and then you got the national title played on the Sunday. You don't want to deal with that headache potentially if they got hot. So, you know what? Let's leave them out of the tournament. Maybe that's conspiracy mode on my part, but I have a feeling, Nate, it's probably going to end up WBIT, not WNIT. That's maybe the CBI of women's basketball now. It's actually WBIT. And I think they could make a run in that. I think they could go the distance potentially, and that maybe is a number one seed potentially.
So that begs the question, Mitch, and maybe this is a conversation for later in the show, but is it better to make the NCAA tournament and get bounced in the first round or to have a run for BYU women's basketball in the WBIT?
I think for this year's women's team that hasn't experienced the postseason for a couple years now, making a run in the WBIT, I think. I mean, honestly, you want to be in the big dance, sure, but I can see some real value for this team that's still got some flaws. They turn the ball over way too much. They've got some issues there. The front court isn't as big, but they've been better. But I think that could be something that really gives them some momentum going into next year. I think they've already got momentum, but I think they can build on the successes they gained in Kansas City. And look, we talked about this before. Lee Kumard, he went 3-0 against Utah. I'll tell you what, if you beat Utah at that clip, you're going to always have job security. I don't care what sport you're coaching at BYU. You beat Utah at that clip, you're going to have job security. So Lee Kumard having a lot of success. BYU basketball looks to have hopefully some more success tonight against Texas Tech. They haven't had much success in Big 12 play over the last 13 games. Losers of 9 of their last 13 games is BYU. They're facing a Tech athletic department that just seems to have BYU's number, whether it's football, it's basketball. The Cougs can't get the Red Raiders.
It started as kind of a joke, I think, Mitch, and the more I looked into it, I was like, geez, this just BYU cannot shake Texas Tech. So it started in 2023, obviously, with BYU joining the Big 12 Conference. So just going back until then, in the major sports being men's basketball and football, the first contest was the football game in 2023. So BYU beat Texas Tech in Provo on a season where BYU finished with a losing record, didn't have a ton of success, and they still beat Texas Tech.
And Tech had a third-string quarterback. So maybe continue.
Yeah, the third-string quarterback definitely played a role there. But go on to basketball season that year, and BYU plays at Texas Tech, and BYU the first half was shooting the lights out.
Yeah.
So much so that I remember when Townsend Triple was called in, and he hits a three-pointer from the baseline, and it's like, oh my gosh, BYU just cannot miss a shot. And then Texas Tech comes out swinging. So BYU's up 48-32 at halftime in Lubbock, and then they're outscored the rest of the way 30-53. So they end up losing 85-78, and that was what started the losing streak.
And then they had the Big 12 quarterfinal in the tournament in Kansas City. They lost to Pop Isaacs. I remember sitting next to Andy Reid, yes, the Andy Reid, at that game, and he's just looking up the scoreboard thinking, this isn't good, guys. This isn't good. And then BYU loses again to Texas Tech, and then football, the games last year in the Big 12 championship and in Lubbock. And then, of course, earlier this year in Lubbock, they lost 84-71. BYU had a 9-point lead on this Red Raider team that included JT Toppin. BYU, of course, had Richie Saunders. So, hey, in this drought against Texas Tech tonight, BYU and the Red Raiders, tip-off at 8:30, pregame at 7:30 right here on KSL. Let's take a break. Spring football next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/Mike.
One Kind Act a Day is a program from the Semnani Family Foundation. One Kind Act a Day seeks to create kinder communities by inspiring daily acts of deliberate kindness. Their work includes programs in schools, businesses, communities, faith groups, and prisons where they help enhance the culture of kindness and increase a sense of community. The world always needs more kindness. No matter what our background or beliefs are, kindness towards others and ourselves is something that everyone can get behind. Kindness can be big or small, but the ripple effect can reach out in ways that we don't even realize. Wouldn't life be better if we were all a little more kind? You can do your part by starting today. All it takes is one kind act a day. Find out more and take the Pledge of Kindness at thepowerofkind.org. That's thepowerofkind.org.
It's 12:32 at KSL News Radio. I'm Isabella Sosa. KSL's top local story this hour. A Wyoming woman came to Utah to have her twins and ended up breaking a record. KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez has more.
Hope Henderson of Evanston, Wyoming wanted to have a home birth, but home births for twins are restricted in Wyoming. So she came down to Ogden, Utah, where she gave birth to Clay, who weighed 9 pounds and 4 ounces, and Leah, who weighed 9 pounds and 6 ounces on Tuesday. When they filed the twins' birth certificate, the Vital Records Department said the combined birth weight total of 19 pounds was the biggest combined birth weight they've seen in years, making it a record.
Just really proud of myself that I had such a great birth. It was really awesome. Once in a lifetime experience, right?
The previous record for twin birth weight was in 2016 for a combined total of 16 pounds. McKenna Rodriguez, KSL News Radio.
top national story this hour from ABC. Iran's president says the United States and Israel, quote, will take their dreams of us surrendering unconditionally to the grave, apparently referring to President Donald Trump's social media posts.
President Trump taking to social media, posting about the war in Iran, saying in part that certain groups of people in areas inside of Iran that were not considered for targeting up until this moment are now, quote, under serious consideration for complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad behavior. Not exactly clear what he's talking about.
ABC's Matt Rivers reporting in Beirut. Coming up, a sunny weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 12:34.
High five. Up top. Dave's company just got the 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah! It's 5 years of gig speed internet, advanced security, and a great rate that won't change. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Heck yeah! He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread. Yes! The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping. Woo!
For a limited time, now through March 29th, switch to Comcast Business to lock in your rate for 5 years and get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Or ask how to get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Don't wait. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. Paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account required. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Up to $500 for loan transfers. Love where you bank. It's not bad out there. Traffic on the major highways is cruising along without problems. You can expect clear skies this weekend with highs in the 50s, almost reaching 60 tomorrow. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 45 degrees. I'm Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
BYU football continues spring practices. They've wrapped up 4 days of spring ball down in Provo. A couple of those days were inside the indoor practice facility. We've had the chance to catch up with some of the players and have interviews and also speak with coaches as well. Unfortunately, no media observation windows yet, so we can't tell you exactly what we've witnessed at practice because we haven't got the chance in the media to watch that yet, but still, we've had the chance to be down there and talk to the players and coaches and get a sense of this football team. And I will say, even without seeing what's happening in spring ball, Nate, I feel really confident that this 2026 BYU football team is going to be really good. I don't sense a letdown. I get the sense that this team still has a bit of an edge, which might be crazy to say because they've won 23 games the last 2 years, but I still get the sense that they feel disrespected. They don't feel like they've gotten the respect that they deserve, and that's a big motivation to prove folks wrong once again.
Yeah, and that was something that Isaiah Glasker mentioned in the conversation I had with him. We'll play that later on in the show, but he just mentioned one of his reasons for coming back his senior season was because he felt like there was still more left on the table. And I think that's true for most of the guys. And I think one thing that has me feeling pretty good about this football team for this season is just the amount of returning key players from last year. And it was pretty similar last year. There were some departures. Obviously, Jake Retzlaff was gone. Keelan Marion was gone. Darius Lassiter. But they also returned a lot of key guys at key spots. I think one thing that's going kind of underlooked is just the number of returning coaches. There's been a lot of focus on Jay Hill being gone and Gennaro Guilford, but the amount of time or years that BYU's been able to retain its entire coaching staff, that's huge. Just because the offense for example, this year, the only guy that left from the offensive staff, I think, is Matt Marshall. Is that
Matt Mitchell?
Matt Mitchell went to Colorado State. He was like the assistant quarterbacks coach. So he was a big part in helping Bear get up to speed on the playbook last year. That was pretty well documented. But by and large, I mean, position coaches, they're here again from last season. And I feel like it puts BYU in a really good spot just because you don't have to learn a new system. You just kind of get a plug and play and get things rolling.
Well, when you say get things rolling, I think one of those guys is Bear Bachmeyer. Here's Aaron Roderick, offensive coordinator for the Cougars, on Bear this spring.
Yeah, it's nice. You know, he knows the offense so well now, and we don't have to. You know, we can really just play ball, and you know, it's like from day one he's got the whole thing down, and we're doing some pretty advanced stuff right now with the first group when he's in there. And then the biggest thing, though, for Bear is this off-season conditioning. This is his first college off-season, so we're really getting a chance to, you know, get him in shape, get him strong, get his body tuned up. And he made it through 14 games this year healthy, but we want to use this off-season to really get him in great shape.
Advanced stuff with BYU's offense, and that's exciting, Nate, because you do get the sense that this past season, the freshman year for Bear, the full playbook wasn't completely unleashed, it felt like. We've watched BYU with Zach Wilson, with Jaron Hall, even Jake Retzloff in 2024, and to a lesser extent, Keaton Slovis. That was a one-year deal. He was learning things, but he was a veteran in college football. BYU has a lot more layers to this offense than what we saw last season. And you look at last year, too, some of the offensive numbers for BYU. They were 54th in total offense. They were 72nd in passing offense, 40th in rushing offense. They were elite in time of possession, 9th, and that was one of the calling cards for this offense, was that they could put together methodical drives. You'd like to think now with a full offseason with Bear Bachmeyer and the ability in March to run advanced stuff already and install things this early, that you're going to be maybe a more explosive offensive attack this season. And Bear Bachmeyer, I've got big expectations for him this year.
Yeah, 100%. Last season, Bear Bachmeyer passed for 3,033 yards. He also rushed for 527. And that's one thing that I think is a little underrated, just because there were a couple of games where Bear was pretty banged up with his ankle. That Big 12 championship game is a notable one. But even going into the season last year, it was interesting commentary from Aaron Roderick last season, because he was saying, oh, Bear is completely up to speed. This was during fall camp. And he was saying, oh, he can run everything that Zach Wilson could run. And I think we kind of all looked at that sideways a little bit. And then the first few games, it was BYU was super run heavy. Yeah. And they didn't need to pass the ball because of the way that the schedule was built. And they were just kind of able to ease him into the system and win games that way. But I think BYU is going to be, they're going to come out swinging this year. I think there's not going to be as much holding back, because you're returning the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, Bear with his progression. I think BYU is going to be a lot more explosive offensively. And it kind of brings up something I wanted to see from this team that we talked about last week, is just more shots downfield. And I feel like that's really the only thing that's missing from this BYU offense, because last year, when you have a 3,000-yard passing quarterback, Mitch, that's a great stat to have. And it's just those deep shots that I think take it to another level, where the stats may not be all that different because you're still passing for 3,000 yards, but just those big explosive plays just kind of set the bar and make defenses, make sure that they're covering up over the top, and I think it gets fans really juiced. And
one of those guys that could be an over-the-top wide receiver, because that is an area of question in this spring practices. No Chase Roberts, no Parker Kingston anymore. Who will emerge as the top pass catchers for BYU? A guy that's trending up is 6'6" wide receiver Kyler Casper. Transfers in from the University of Oregon. He's looked really good. All the buzz about him has been very positive. This was Casper on why he chose BYU out of the transfer portal.
First things first, the portal move was quick. It's not like high school, right? So I had a couple of visits lined up. I ended up coming here first. And, after I came here, just after meeting all the coaches, Fessy, every person in this whole university was telling me how great Kalani was, and then sitting down with him, talking to him for like an hour or so, I kind of knew it was the place I wanted to be with the strength staff, with Skyler. They got everything that I need. And, obviously the past kind of 2 years I've been a little banged up, and I think that this place has the best opportunity for me to stay healthy, just the way they run things, and in the weight room and with the training staff and all of that. So after I took the visit, I had a few more lined up, and I was like, if I keep going on visits and they end up getting someone, it moves quick, I would have been frustrated with myself. So I kind of just locked it down, and now I'm here. So
it's interesting with Kyler Casper. You read some of the stories the past 2 years and the build-up for each season at the University of Oregon. There was talk and buzz about him being a, rotational guy in that wide receiver unit, but injuries derailed that outlook. He dealt with multiple foot injuries, and that's concerning too because you wonder about the speed. BYU did its medical background check on him and believed that he would be fine, and so far he's been playing at a high level for BYU in spring practices. I thought it was noteworthy that in his commentary he brings up Dr. Skyler Maine. You don't hear that sort of reference often. Like, yes, you'll hear a general love the strength staff, but specifically noting Doc Maine, and he's been someone that gets the most out of players from peak performance. He's trained guys for the NFL draft. So I thought that was a nice little tidbit there from Kyler Casper. But this BYU team, there's a lot of intriguing pieces to this group. And I think one of the common themes I look at too, Nate, is that this group, when I see them getting off the field, you love the size, you love the build, the athleticism, the talent. This is a very good-looking, talented football team on paper. It's just, you kind of wonder if, will you get a bounce go your way in a game where the margins are thin in the Big 12? But I'd like to think that also BYU has elevated itself where maybe they've got a little bit wider margin for error in the Big 12 because they've leveled up the talent pool and the retention on their roster.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And last year, going into the year, I felt really good about BYU's likelihood of to win, double-digit wins, even having a freshman quarterback because the defense was going to be so solid. Now, I think the defense took a little bit of a step back from 2024, and statistically that kind of shows itself. But there were also some key injuries, and there were injuries where guys were playing through some bumps and bruises, and I think that kind of helped, hurt the statistics for the defense. But on Kyler Casper, he's going to have a lot of opportunities, Mitch, because I'm looking at these receiving numbers from BYU receivers last year, and the top 3 players are gone. So Parker Kingston, Chase Roberts, Carson Ryan, not going to be on this roster. The 4th leading receiver last year, Mitch, L.J. Martin, 36 receptions for 255 yards. After that, you got JoJo Phillips, 14 for 161, and then everybody else under that was under 100 yards receiving.
I will always have confidence now going forward with BYU's position groups because I'll give the benefit of the doubt to this offensive staff because if you want to talk about bleak outlooks, nothing seemed bleaker than the quarterback position last year. There was really nothing you felt like in the stable after you lost Retzloff, and that was the quarterback position. All of the successes tie to that spot, and you won 12 games, and a true freshman emerged, and now you feel like you've got a pipeline at quarterback that's built for years to come if you retain these pieces. So right now it might look, I don't want to say bleak, but it might look like who do you trust at that wide receiver unit? The good thing is there are options. You just wonder, will someone be an all Big 12 guy like Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston were last season? That's tough to replace. So Casper's got an opportunity to do that. But this entire BYU football team, they've got the challenge in front of them of trying to level up. And Kalani Sitake leads the way as the head coach of the Cougars. He's entering his 11th season as the head man. He's got that new long-term extension. And it begs the question if he feels like this is a little bit of a new era in their efforts to try to level up as he's cemented as BYU's head coach.
Yeah, I think there's in the higher level, I know everybody looks at the performance on the field and want to win a lot of games, but I think we've got to do a lot of things right before that can happen. And so we're trying to build a championship mindset, but that's also the championship mindset and everything that they do, socially and physically with their body and football, but also mentally and spiritually. I want to see them accomplish a lot of things, and we're all a work in progress. And so I'm trying to learn too, and trying to be better, and these guys are helping me get there. So as long as I keep trying to keep working hard, the effort's there, and we just need to. I'm thankful that the administration and the church has given us a lot of resources to get there. So I'm looking forward to the build up before we get to the season.
Good stuff there from head coach Kalani Sitake. Let's take a break. On the other side, you'll get to know transfer portal edition. Paki Finau comes from Washington to BYU. Where's he going to line up on this offensive line? We'll talk with Paki Finau next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Will?
When I was 50, my whole life fell apart. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the house, I lost pretty much everything except for my life. When the IRS came calling, I just didn't have it in me. I felt like Wile E. Coyote, just waiting for that IRS anvil to drop.
Then Will found Tax Relief Advocates.
I heard their advertisement on the radio, I wrote down the number, and I made the call that changed everything. The IRS gave me a bill for $40,000. Tax Relief Advocates got that down to $3,200. I've paid 9 cents on the dollar. Now that's a great deal in anybody's book.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Will did and call TRA for a consultation.
But for me, the real win is I got my life back.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-488-2578. 800-488-2578. That's 800-488-2578.
I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. So, Monty, I wonder if you know someone like this. He's the ultimate DIY guy. Restores classic cars, builds his own deck, and even smokes his own brisket.
Sounds like a talented guy.
He is. But get this, his other weekend hobby is troubleshooting his water softener. He's always down there resetting the timer or fiddling with the circuit board.
See, Doug, that's where I draw the line. Smoking a brisket is a great weekend project.
Yeah.
Fixing an electric water softener is just a chore.
Exactly. He thinks he's saved money by buying the bargain brand, but he's paying for it with his Saturdays.
That's the Connecticut difference. Our systems are premium because they are non-electric and fully automated. No computers to fry, no timers to reset. We install it and you get back to the hobbies you actually enjoy.
If you want soft water, do what I did and leave that to Connecticut. It runs on water power, not willpower. Learn more at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
This weekly tax tip is brought to you by the Utah Association of Certified Public Accountants. Here's CEO Susan Spears.
Hey homeowners, there are important tax changes this year to how much you can deduct for property taxes. Let's talk SALT, the tax kind. SALT stands for state and local taxes. It includes property taxes, state income taxes, and some local taxes you pay during the year. For several years, taxpayers were capped at deducting just $10,000 of SALT on their federal return. Under the new law, that cap has been raised up to $40,000 for many taxpayers. There's an income phase out for higher earners, and married couples filing separately are limited to half the amount.
Get the most out of your income tax preparation when you hire a licensed CPA. Visit uacpa.org to find a CPA that's right for you. And check out new tax tip videos by following on social media at Talk to Your CPA. Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Kenny is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Kenny's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
Business technology has changed a lot over the last 70 years, but one thing hasn't.
Les Olson is here.
As the years have passed, there's been one constant. And after 70 years and still counting, Les Olson IT is here with the technology and the people to make life easier, more productive, and more secure for your business. Let Les be here for you.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday here on KSL News Radio. Let's not waste any time. BYU offensive lineman Paki Finau transferred in from Washington to BYU. He's in his first season. I caught up with Paki and asked him how his experience at BYU is going so far.
It's been great, just a welcoming culture. People that I don't know, I've been meeting over the last month. Like, I just feel like I know the whole team, but just from like a culture standpoint, everything's just been perfect. Like, being here is amazing.
When you entered the portal from Washington, did you immediately think of that culture at BYU and your relationship maybe that you had with some of the individuals with Kalani or the staff because they recruited you out of high school?
Yeah. When I entered the portal, my main thing was just talking to coaches I already talked to, like Coach Woods. And I had visits planned after, but I took my first visit here, and I just love what I saw, committed right away.
You've been part of a program and a conference in the Big Ten that plays at obviously very high level. It's produced a lot of national champions. But what you've seen here at BYU so far, what's been your impressions? Just the guys you're competing against, the talent and that's competing in spring practice right now.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. It's all gritty work. Everybody's trying to fight for the same goal. It's like no difference from the Big Ten. But yeah, it's literally just the same physicality, same mindset, same speed, everything.
You noted that you knew a lot of people here. Just maybe if you could speak to some of the individuals that you had that strong relationship with that here at BYU already.
Yeah, really when I first got here, the only person I knew was Coach Woods. When he was at UNLV, I think it was like my second or third offer. He was one of the first guys that reached out to me in the portal.
Wow.
But when I got here, just meeting the guys for the first time, I just tell they were my type of people. I knew that, working with them would make the hard work easier. And, yeah.
What made Coach Woods stand out? Because he's had a lot of success here at BYU, and maybe Cougar fans don't know him as well, but, the work he's put in, what makes him such a good offensive line coach in person?
My thing is just, how smart he is as a coach. And he's aggressive, so, when you mess up, he's on your ass. But at the same time, he loves you. He's going to treat you like his own kid. He's going to make sure you work hard. But just being here, everything's so in-depth. We have so many different calls, and, just once you understand that, you play fast, and I feel like that's why this O-line has had so much success.
You at Washington, you played, I believe, a lot of guard.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the expectation here, or could you be someone that plays at tackle? Where they envision you lining up here in spring and this season?
Yeah, spring ball, nobody has a spot. But, I'll play wherever I can, left guard, left tackle. I play the right side too, but just right now running left tackle. I've had tackle reps at Washington. I was mainly guard, like you said, but I could play anywhere on the line.
BYU recruited you out of high school, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you have much interaction with Kalani at that time when you were coming out of high school?
I forgot who the O-line coach was, but I believe I talked to him. I talked to Fessy a lot. Fessy pulled up to the school, but that was later in my recruitment. I committed to UW early, to the board staff, but yeah, once I committed to UW, I kind of cut off everybody. So
you're pretty loyal. When you're invested place, you're here.
Yeah, basically.
What are you looking to accomplish here in the spring practices and here at BYU in your career here in Provo?
Just trying to be better than I was yesterday. Working my craft, trying to be a technician. Just from what I've seen from everybody over here, these guys are hard workers, and I'm just trying to make sure that I live up to that same expectation as a team and as myself.
is the guy that sets the expectation. Is that Bruce Mitchell? Is that safe to say? I mean, he's someone that's been a first-team All-Big 12 guy. Is he one of those setting the expectations?
Yeah, he definitely is, but I say the whole line is, like, everybody here.
And that's BYU offensive lineman Paki Finau. You can listen to the full interview on the Cougar Sports Saturday podcast and on the KSL Sports YouTube and Cougar Tracks. So a lot of different ways to listen and watch that interview with Paki Finau. That offensive line is going to be interesting, Nate, because you bring back Bruce Mitchell. He's the lead guy, and it's fun to see Bruce elevate himself as that top dog because he was just a unheralded guy from a small school in Camas, Utah. Now he's an all-Big 12 guy. You bring back Andrew Gentry. You've got Paki Finau. You've got Zach Yamauchi, a transfer from Stanford. I think this offensive line's going to be better than last year's group. We'll see. Yeah,
I totally agree. I was kind of surprised when they brought in as many dudes as they did, and basically on the same day, right? They brought in the three Junior Sia, Yamauchi, and Paki Finau, all about the same day. And looking back to last year, like they lost a couple of guys, but it didn't feel like it was a big need for BYU to refill that for this season. I thought maybe more running back would be a position where they would go after more of, but yeah, I think there's no reason to believe that this BYU offensive line won't be improved from last season.
I like his commentary too about there's no difference between Big Ten and what BYU's doing operation-wise. So positive things for BYU in spring football, and a guy that's going to be a big piece for the Cougars next year is Isaiah Glasker. Nate caught up with Isaiah earlier this week. You'll hear that conversation next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
From ABC News, I'm Mike Tobuski. Iran's president is apologizing for attacks on neighboring countries, saying that they'll let up, but only if those countries refuse to assist the U.S. and Israeli military operation against Iran. Earlier today, Israel's military announced it carried out a wave of strikes across Tehran. Trita Parsi is an Iran expert at the Quincy Institute.
There is an effort to try to degrade the entire country's state apparatus. The belief is that this will allow for elements inside the country to rise up and do an uprising. But what appears to me far more likely is that with state collapse, you will have a scenario in which the instability that will be caused by that state collapse in Iran will turn the country into a failed state.
Right now, President Trump is attending the dignified transfer of the 6 U.S. service members killed during the outbreak of the war 1 week ago. It comes as the administration faces new scrutiny over Operation Epic Fury.
As far as how long this war will last for, the president says it will continue for as long as he wants it to. But the cost is already staggering. By one estimate, this war is costing the U.S. nearly $900 million a day.
ABC News White House correspondent Selena Wang. One area where U.S. consumers are feeling the effects of the war is at the gas pump. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimberts.
Growing concerns about the U.S. economy, with oil prices surging and the war in Iran crippling exports. Crude prices soaring 35% this week alone, the biggest gain ever in futures trading history for the commodity. The impact already showing up at the pump. The national average for a gallon of gas, around $3.40 a gallon, jumping 40 cents in just 1 week.
It all comes after a disappointing jobs report yesterday. While analysts had been expecting the economy to add jobs in February, the report found it lost 92,000. You're listening to ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, our credit card bill came and it's higher than last month.
How? We haven't charged anything.
Paying the minimum isn't enough. It will keep getting higher until we take control. We need to go to 47fastcash.com.
With our bad credit?
47fastcash.com can help any credit type get approved for up to $5,000 in minutes.
Take control and get the money you need at 47fastcash.com. 47fastcash.com.
I've been telling you all about the secret war on our cash and the free report you can receive a copy of by contacting Swiss America at 800-289-2646. I'd also like to encourage you to subscribe to their podcast on YouTube. Just search Swiss America Trading. The podcast can provide you a ton of vital information and financial news in the challenging and uncertain times we're in. Subscribe today. Learn more about BRICS, industry leaders, and their market predictions for the future, along with what you might expect to see in terms of precious metal performance in the weeks and months ahead. Message and data rates may apply.
Good afternoon. It's 1:03 at KSL News Radio. I'm Isabella Sosa. KSL's top local story this hour. The 2026 legislative session has wrapped up. KSL TV's Daniel Woodruff caught up with Governor Spencer Cox last night to get his thoughts on the session.
This was a remarkable session. Honestly, probably the best session I've ever been associated with in 14 years. It felt much more like a true Utah session than a national divisive session.
Governor Cox has 20 days to decide on the passed bills. Our top national story this hour from ABC. Search and rescue operations are underway across eastern Oklahoma due to severe weather. At least 2 people have been killed after a suspected tornado touched down in the Beggs, Oklahoma area late Friday. EMS Chief James Nichols said overnight,
I do believe that both of them were adults from the same household.
All people are accounted for. The war in Iran is threatening a global energy market and is sending gas prices soaring. Pressure builds elsewhere in the U.S. economy, too, after a weaker-than-expected jobs report shows the country lost 92,000 jobs in February.
Right now, workers are dealing with an insecurity in their jobs at the same time that the effects of inflation over the course of 5 years have compounded.
That's economist Diane Swank. Coming up, 50s and 60s. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 104.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hey folks, it's Jay Broadbent here with Alpine Home Medical, celebrating 28 years of keeping Utah and Idaho comfortable and at home. Back in '97, I started with a truck, a dream, and a lot more hair. Today, we've got 11 stores from Idaho Falls to St. George. From the moment you step into our clean, welcoming showrooms, you'll feel the Alpine difference. Our team will be there to listen and guide you to the best solutions for your needs. We believe that the right equipment can transform lives. We're honored to be a part of your healthcare journey and to help you live the life you deserve. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Earn 4.24% on savings at uccu.com. The roads are peaceful this afternoon with not much to report right now. Temperatures this week are up in the 50s and 60s with no chance of rain. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 46 degrees. I'm Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday, hour number 2 here on this March 7th. We were having a lot of laughs in the commercial break. Mitch Harper, Nate Slack with you. We were talking about Mo Longy. Remember, we were talking about signing day highlights, and sometimes players will have certain moments and highlights that just get you fired up. We were talking about Hinckley Ropati. He had an amazing JUCO highlight reel, but then the best one was Mo Longy, how he's just trucking those kids. That's been more than 10 years ago. What's crazy, Mo, he was coming to school here after his time at BYU football was over. He did finish his degree at BYU, BYU Salt Lake here, now Ensign College. He was here getting the degree, taking care of business. I remember he was at the BYU Kansas game back in 2023, the first Big 12 game. So he still loves the Cougs, Mo Longy. So shout out to Mo. Can't believe it's been more than 10 years since we saw him him coming through the program.
I just remember seeing Mo Longy wearing his football helmet for the first time, thinking that thing cannot be safe.
You know, a guy
thing is
that
way too small.
You know, a guy that probably, when you talk about not safe, opposing offenses and quarterbacks going up against BYU linebacker Isaiah Glasker, who's heading into his senior year, and you had the chance to catch up with Isaiah.
Yeah, I talked to Isaiah last week, and he has some good things to say. And I wanted to know about why he came back for his senior season, because there was a lot of discussion about him potentially going to the NFL. Obviously, with Jay Hill going to Michigan, was he going to follow him to Michigan? And this was his response to that question.
And Isaiah, senior season at BYU, what's it feel like? I mean, coming back for your senior season, was that a difficult decision to make? What went into the decision to make you come back for your senior year?
Honestly, a couple different things. So I was battling injuries last year, and I just really wanted to be healthy for this next coming year. And I feel like coming back it just was able to help me recover. And then just really see all the guys coming back. I feel like we could have a good team next year. So.
Obviously, new defensive staff a little bit with Jay Hill taking off to Michigan. Kelly Papinga is also going to be taking over the linebacker room. What's your relationship like with K-Pop, and what do you expect out of this defense for this season?
I don't know. I always started on special teams when I first got here, and K-Pop has always been my coach and has put me in, and I've been successful. So I don't know. I really do trust him, and I think he's a great coach, and I'm excited. So.
What do you think some of the differences may be between Jay Hill's defense and K-Pop's? Is it going to be pretty similar? Do you think there's going to be, what kind of differences do you expect to see? Without giving too much away, obviously.
I wouldn't say too many differences. We're still going to be bringing a lot of pressure, so I'm excited about that for sure. So
now it's not just you coming back from the last year's defense. There's a whole bunch of key players returning. What kind of edge does that give you guys on the defensive side of the ball, just with so much returning production from last year?
Really just to finish what we started. You know what I'm saying? Last year we came up short, and I feel like with all the boys coming back this year, it's like we're going to have a dominant team, and I'm excited to see what we can do. So.
Yeah, last year obviously a step up from the 2024 season, 12 wins, Big 12 championship appearance, win in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, but there's still an opportunity to level up again. What did you learn from those games against Texas Tech that can take you guys to another level?
Really just to finish. I feel like each year, 2024, we were in the Alamo Bowl, great bowl, but it's kind of not what we wanted. And I don't know, then last year we had the Pop-Tart Bowl, and it's like we just really want to get to the playoffs, and I feel like it's just going to keep building from there. So.
As far as spring ball goes, I've always wondered how players approach spring ball, between staying healthy but also, you don't want to get rusty. You're playing football, you're bringing up new guys and some young players. So how do you balance trying to stay healthy but also not taking it off too easy because you want to be able to gel with new guys like Kedu Luave and others?
I say really it's just I feel like spring ball is about the younger guys, and the younger guys kind of get into the system, and then guys like Kedu Luave just really learning the plays and us being able to play with each other and just kind of building that camaraderie. So I feel like it's not too bad.
What are some of the goals you have for yourself? Either the summer workouts or heading into the next season, what are you trying to work on personally?
Really just getting bigger, faster, stronger, and then just preparing my mind for this season because I'm trying to have a great year. So,
last question for you, again with Isaiah Glasker, BYU senior linebacker. I've always wondered what maybe pregame superstitions or rituals players have. Do you have anything in your toolbox where you got to whip out and make sure you're ready for game day?
For me, it's like I have to wear the same fit every single game, or like the same cleats, or it's like if I feel off at all, then I feel like I play bad. But like if I'm wearing the same drip, it's like I don't know. I feel like I can play good. So.
If you have a bad game or BYU loses a game, do you switch it up a little bit, or just kind of keep it steady?
Yeah, have to for sure.
That was my conversation with BYU linebacker Isaiah Glasker. Glasker is one of my favorite players, Mitch, just because of his violence. And that's something that I loved about Micah Harper when he was at BYU, is just how violent they played. And he kind of mentioned it a little bit in the interview. I probably should have asked what some of those injuries he was facing, but it's no secret that he was a little banged up last year, and it kind of hurt his production. But Isaiah Glasker, I think, is a guy that BYU fans should have high expectations for this season, and especially pairing up with Kedu Luave. Like this BYU linebacker room, Mitch, should not miss any beat without the lack of Jack Kelly.
They're going to be really good, and I think there's multiple NFL guys in this group, and Glasker among that grouping of NFL players. And you look at Glasker's stats from a season ago, 67 tackles, 3 less than 2 years ago, where in 2024 he was the leading tackler for BYU, but obviously within striking distance. But again, I think it's fair that he acknowledged that he wasn't at peak performance, yet still he gets you 67 tackles, he gets you 3 sacks.
He played in every game.
Forced fumble, 2 INTs, but we all knew that he was banged up. And it was out of that Colorado game and West Virginia, and it was in that stretch too where BYU's missing Kelly, and it just felt like that linebacker unit was really banged up. And so I'm excited to see if Glasgow can stay healthy, what he can be in his final ride with BYU, because he's an excellent football player, and I think he's got big-time ability. The linebacker position, it feels like that's a spot where in the NFL feels like I sometimes view that NFL teams just see that spot as, we can always find a good linebacker. But I think he could be someone that could be a top 100 NFL draft pick. I think he's got that ability. And you saw the numbers that Jack Kelly put up at the Combine. Who's to say that Glasgow couldn't do better? I think that's in the cards potentially with Glasgow. I mean, I honestly thought going into last season that Glasgow was probably the best defensive player entering the year. That was kind of my thought. It bore out that Kelly was obviously the number one guy, but Glasgow's super talented. He could be, 2 years ago, he led the Big 12 in tackles for loss. So this guy can cause havoc, and I like that point you bring up of pairing up with Uluwave, having Sialia Sarah back. Miles Hall is trending up defensively for this team in spring ball. I think there's some really good linebackers for BYU that they shouldn't skip a beat. And that's honestly, to me, a position, especially now with Kelly Papinga, a former linebacker himself. I don't expect any year there's ever going to be a drop-off of that spot. I think BYU should have a strong stable of linebackers every single year.
You've also got to think about the guys that Kelly Papinga has coached as a linebackers coach at BYU. He's been around, Sione Takitaki and Kyle Van Noy and Fred Warner. So the who's who of BYU linebackers over the last 10, 15 years, he's been part of that. And I feel like that's going to be a really big help to Isaiah Glasgow. Coming into your senior season, you obviously know how things are ran in college football, and I think reading between the lines from these comments from defensive players over the last week and a half, Mitch, it sounds like the defense isn't going to be a whole lot different from what they've seen last year, and I feel like that's one thing that you got to point out, because there's going to be people who kind of speculate about, is the defense going to take a dip because Jay Hill took off to Michigan? I don't think that's going to be the case, and I think that's because pretty much every other position coach is back. Gary Anderson, I think, has a big role on the defense. Same with Kalani Sitake. But I feel like this linebacker room is probably the deepest and best unit on the entire football team, and that's what it's going to take to get back to Arlington and Big 12 championship game.
Well, and I think, too, the point about this defensive scheme being a lot of the same, you probably don't have the level of retention that they experience if it was a radical change. So I think you're going to have that base of what you know, but I think with them being able to play so fast and be so ahead of the curve in terms of the knowledge of the foundational aspects of this defense, then K-Pop can throw in his vision of areas of his expertise and what he wants to implement into the scheme. And we know Kalani is more than willing to empower his coordinators to implement stuff that they like. And so I think that's one of the great things and why Kalani's been able to retain his coaching staff. I mean, we're entering a season where Aaron Roderick is going into his 9th year on BYU staff. He's entering the 6th season as the official offensive coordinator. We obviously knew in 2019 and 20 it became the collaborative effort, him and Jeff Grimes, but officially with the title since 2021, you don't see that level of retention often these days where coaches are always trying to move on, get a bigger deal, but BYU's retaining guys in large part because Kalani will empower his coordinator. So K-Pop will have that autonomy to implement what he needs to with this defense. And then you've also got Gary Anderson, who got a new job title as a senior chief analyst to the head coach on this staff. So there's a lot to like, and I'm curious to see how it all comes together, but that strong identity of what they bring back from the past 2 years, being one of the best defenses in the Big 12, you just want to build on that now. Let's hear from Kelly Papinga next. here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and some other sound from BYU spring practices as we continue to roll on live here on this March 7th edition of Cougar Sports Saturday on KSL News Radio.
Ready for your next vehicle? At Performance Automotive in Bountiful, your new Ford, Toyota, or Honda is here. Built for Utah communities, canyon weekends, and everything in between. Choose capability with Ford, long-lasting reliability with Toyota, or smooth efficiency with Honda. Backed by friendly experts and financing options that fit your budget. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda for your test drive. Browse inventory, check pricing, and schedule your visit at performancebountiful.com. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, driven to be the best.
Do you know what you don't know about your truck bed? Well, at Jordan Camper, 7000 South State in Midvale, we can show you amazing options, functions, and truck bed uses you probably had no idea about. Let's start with drop-in or spray-in protective bed liners, providing an easy cleanable space adapting to work requirements or for outdoor fun. Cover your truck bed with tonneau covers, stylish one-piece or soft vinyl, roll-up, hard folding, and retractable models. Jordan Camper features so many choices of fiberglass and aluminum durable truck tops for outdoor recreation storage, providing great workspace and security for those who rely on trucks for their professional needs. Jordan Camper is Utah's longest operated truck top and accessory shop. Our experienced, skilled technicians can install everything for you. Come into 7000 South State in Midvale and check us out. JordanCamper.com.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Here's the tale of Tina, searching up and down for decent GLP-1s, but got spun around.
Till Good RX wrote in, hey, we got something new. GLP-1 prescriptions, all FDA approved.
Brand name meds, no flags that are red.
Clear pricing from the start. None of those hidden fees in your cart.
Delivered to your door or pick up same day. Darn tootin'.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
I'll put it to goodrx.com/weight loss. GoodRx is not insurance.
Step into a world where the music swells, your pulse quickens, and pure emotion takes over. Experience the Utah Symphony's Masterworks concerts, thrilling, elegant evenings at Marisa Bravanel Hall. Feel the romance of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, the joy of Respighi's The Pines of Rome, and the spine-tingling drama as orchestra and chorus unite for the electrifying masterpiece Carmina Burana. Hear it live, feel it live. Tickets start at $26 at utahsymphony.org.
Hi, Flo here to say that Progressive knows that life can change quickly, so it's good to have flexible coverage.
Oh, like when I have to take my ex off my policy.
Oh, sorry. But yes, we can do that.
And can you send them a message and tell them that they have trust issues that they need to work on?
We don't really get in the middle of these conflicts.
Also, can you let them know that I was faking interest in his band and it's probably time to grow up?
I'm not gonna do it. Just know that with Progressive, you can easily make changes to your auto insurance because we know life changes.
Also, I'm staying in touch with his mom because she's absolutely lovely.
Bad idea.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Jackson Hewitt knows taxes are complicated, and with multiple jobs and tax forms, they're like Sonata complicated. Our no surprise pricing keeps things simple. Jackson Hewitt does your taxes for only $149 or less. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back. So what are you waiting for? Hurry. File with Jackson Hewitt today for only $149 or less, guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Kitchen and bath transformations start with AMC Building Materials. AMC Building Materials is a large kitchen cabinet and countertop supplier serving both wholesale and retail customers. AMC offers factory direct pricing on all interior remodeling materials, giving you exceptional value without sacrificing quality. Most standard items are available for quick payment and pickup right away. AMC Building Materials provides professional service, free design, and free on-site measurements, along with expert installation by top AMC professionals. From bold kitchen designs to beautiful functional bathrooms, AMC delivers offers outstanding value with styles you'll love. And best of all, most projects can be completed within just 10 days. Come experience beauty you can see, quality you can feel, and service you can trust. Get directions to the new AMC Building Materials showroom at 3678 South 700 West today and schedule your free estimate. Visit amckitchenslc.org. That's amckitchenslc.org.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you. It's March. The madness is around the corner. You can feel it. We're watching Big 12 basketball. Some good games in the Big 12 today. Houston, despite a little bit of a scare in Stillwater, they were trailing against Oklahoma State. They take down the Pokes and get a victory. So, Houston, is going to, I believe, be the 2 seed in Kansas City. Kansas is up on Kansas State in Allen Fieldhouse, 54-36. Iowa State is trailing inside Hilton Coliseum against Arizona State. Bobby Hurley, is he going to save his job? He just took down Kansas. They're up 45-44 at the under 16 mark. And then a bubblicious game. TCU's up 45-35 on Cincinnati in Cowtown. So maybe BYU just makes teams look super good. I came away from that BYU-Cincinnati game and thought, oh, Cincinnati, that might be one of the 5 best teams BYU's faced. They can't sustain it, I guess, after they put together a career night against BYU. But we'll keep tabs on all the Big 12 action and get you an update on what the Big 12 basketball tournament's going to look like in Kansas City with the bracket. BYU already knows its opponent. We'll get to that a little bit later here in the show. But BYU football, Cougars have a lot of new faces. You talked earlier, Nate, about you love the offensive staff has so much retention. That's not necessarily the case on the defensive side. There's some familiar faces, K-Pop, Sione Puha, but there's also a lot of new faces. Lewis Walker, DeMario Warren, Chad Kahaha. This is Kelly Papinga on incorporating those new assistants in practice.
Those guys have been great, man. They're smart guys. Demo and Lewis have come right in and been able to, pick up on the techniques and the scheme, and really good coaches. I think they've gotten, the corners and the safeties. They've really caught on to those guys, and so I like what I see with that. And then, Chad Kahaha, he's been around. So he's been around these guys. He's been around the scheme. So it's been pretty seamless right now, to be honest with you. I think we've been able to go a lot faster than I thought we were going to be able to go. And then those guys have provided some really good insight onto just like how they see our scheme, little tweaks that we could make to it, disguise some coverages, some blitzes and things. So it's been good to have their insight. Sometimes it's good to have somebody come from the outside to be able to kind of evaluate everything that's been going on. But at the end of the day, it's going to look very similar, but there'll be some tweaks to it too as well.
Yeah, it's good to see so many returning coaches. Mitch, I think a lot of people don't know the name like Chad Kahaha, but he obviously has a lot of familiar with the program. And I think the biggest question marks that people had about the new coaching staff was just with the secondary, with Mario Warren and with Lewis Walker. Would they be able to retain guys like Faletau Satawala? Would they be able to retain an Evan Johnson? And they did. They went 2 for 2 with those guys, and there wasn't a whole lot of transfers on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that goes to show just the amount of trust they have in Kalani, that they have in Kelly Papinga. Yes, it's his first time being a defensive coordinator, but I think there is some carryover that Kelly Papinga can have from being a special teams coordinator. I've mentioned this a few times, but just looking back at the last couple of years, BYU special teams was really aggressive, and they were always prepared. Now, it didn't mean that sometimes they didn't have flops with fake punts and fake field goals, but I never felt like BYU was out-coached on special teams, maybe just a lack of execution, but that's not something on the coaching staff. I feel like that translates to the defense because the defense is going to be aggressive. I think they're always going to be prepared, but I want to see that same intensity. We talked a little bit at the start of the show about the intensity of the BYU basketball on defense. I want to see that kind of intensity on the football field as well, and I think that's going to be a signature trademark for K-Pop's defense.
Well, and I think, too, what helps Kelly Papinga transition into the defensive coordinator role, you bring up special teams, he had an opportunity to work with pretty much everyone on the team. So, yes, he was the defensive ends coach the past couple years, but, all of these positions, linebacker, cornerback, safety, they've had moments and interactions with Kelly Papinga because BYU, because of their successes on special teams, they played a lot of key guys on special teams. Like some of the big names were running down on kick teams sometimes. Not always the starters, but important two deep guys were playing on special teams, and Kelly Papinga's working with those guys. That is one of the underrated positions on a staff, is that you get the opportunity to work with a lot of players where you meet the entire team. They hear your voice. So this defense, they kind of had reference points already to what Kelly Papinga's like. And then you obviously add the defensive ends who they lose no one. I think that was kind of an endorsement, too, of Kelly Papinga being the DC, is that no one exited the portal out of the defensive end position. Everyone was retained. The only guy that they lose was Logan Latui, and he comes back as a grad assistant. So much retention in the program, a lot of endorsements of this new staff. I thought it was cool just today, a couple hours ago, you see Trey Alexander going on social media on X, and he posted a picture of Lewis Walker and him. I think those little things are noteworthy when you got a new coach and you wonder, how is it going to work between Janelle Guilford and Walker? Because so much was talked about with Guilford, how excellent he was at developing technicians, his ability to recruit in Southern California. I don't want to say BYU just doesn't skip a beat because the proof will be in the fall in these games, but I feel really optimistic about there's going to be no drop-off in that secondary.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think even up front, you're not going to see a whole lot of drop-off. Looking down the roster, Bodie Schoonover, he was a big impact player last year. He's back. Tausili Akana and Nusi Tamoipeau, I loved watching them play last year. On those obvious passing downs, they were huge. Against that game in Arizona, that overtime finish, Nusi Tamoipeau and Tausili Akana were fantastic. Looking in the middle, Keanu Tonavasa, Anisi Purcell, Bill Pauha, like Justin Kirkland, there's so many dudes returning, Mitch. I kind of teased this earlier, but I think the linebacker room is probably the deepest coming back on the football team this season. Putting you on the spot, where do you think BYU is deepest at, or what do you feel most comfortable with for BYU football this season?
I'll tell you on the other side, we got to get to a break, and we'll discuss where that spot is the deepest next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Doug Wright here with Monty at Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. Monty, give it to me straight. Why is Connecticut the premium choice over those standard electric softeners?
Doug, it comes down to this. Do you want an appliance you have to babysit? Standard water softeners have microprocessors and computers that need setting and adjustment, and they use a lot more salt. So you get to haul 40-pound bags of salt down to your basement every month or so.
And Connecticut?
Zero electricity, 0 timers to reset, 0 downtime, and uses 70% less salt. It's a higher standard of engineering that completely removes the hassle of owning a water softener.
That's what I love about my Connecticut. Dee and I never have to even think about it. We occasionally add a bag of salt and it just works, and I've never had to set or adjust anything. Do what I did and get the one that just works. Find out how soft your water could be at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Good afternoon. It's 1:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Isabella Sosa. KSL's top story this hour. Outdoor recreation continues to contribute some major money to the state. KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla reports.
Utah's trails, mountains, valleys, lakes, and other naturally occurring wonders are drawing people in and their money. We're learning that in 2024, the industry brought in $9.75 billion. That's a 2.6% increase from the previous year. The Department of Natural Resources says that accounts for 3.3% of Utah's gross domestic product. The booming industry is also benefiting those who live here, employing over 75,000 people.
Utah is actually somewhat of a pioneer in the industry, being the first state to establish an Office of Outdoor Recreation. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. An expert has advice to help your body adjust to daylight saving time, with clocks being set ahead 1 hour in most of the U.S. Here's ABC's Chuck Sievertson.
Try to go to bed earlier to prepare for losing an hour, says Dr. Rebecca Robbins, assistant professor of medicine at Harvard Medical School, who specializes in sleep health.
And then when you wake up in the morning, get as much blue daylight spectrum light exposure as you can, and try to avoid caffeine in the afternoon.
Then
try to stay active during the day. Ideally, stay outside, get plenty of natural daylight exposure that can help sync our internal circadian rhythm.
Standard Time returns November 1st.
Daylight saving time starts tonight. Coming up, clear skies. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 1:30.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Direct deposit gets you $300. Love where you bank. Nothing to report right now. Traffic is looking smooth. You can expect clear skies this weekend with highs in the 50s and lows in the 20s and 30s. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 46 degrees. I'm Isabella Sosa, KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Cougar Sports Saturday rolls on. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you, coming live from Broadcast House in Salt Lake City, Utah. BYU football has completed 4 days of spring practices. 15 practices total, which will culminate with an alumni game in early April. I believe April 2nd is the Friday before General Conference weekend. Saw one of the quarterbacks that's committed to the game, Steve Clements, former BYU QB. We'll see who the headline quarterbacks are. We've seen in the past at the alumni game, we've seen all the heavy hitters. We've seen Ty Detmer, seen Steve Young make a cameo appearance, Max Hall, Kevin Federick one year. I'm trying to think, who am I missing? Some other guys.
Brandon Doman's played.
Doman, John Beck.
Yeah.
Charlie Peterson's he's a seasoned vet. I think he's gone all the 3 or 4 years that it's been going.
I think Riley Nelson has too.
Right? Oh yeah, Riley Nelson, Jake Heap's game. They staged that. That was kind of a fun storyline. I'll tell you, that alumni game, it's actually kind of lived up to be entertaining games every single year. It's been a lot of fun. Anyway, we love the real football though, and would love to see like a real BYU spring game. But those are a thing of the
what
past.
Are those, Mitch?
We haven't seen one of those in a very long time. You know what? I will say this, though. The one leniency I will say with the spring game thing, The last few times BYU's had like a public facing spring event for fans with the actual current team, both of those seasons resulted in losing years. 2017 and 2023.
That's a good point.
So that's like, maybe it's just, if again, I get so caught up in trends and weird, like, okay, I want to avoid the stench of that particular offseason, I'll do it this way. Now, granted, I think the fans deserve a chance to be, around this team and see the team with their own eyes, because I think there's something to be said about a fan getting the chance to make their own opinions. Like, they can listen to us, they can listen to anyone and form their own opinions, but I think they want to have the chance to lay eyes on a player. Like, I thought it was cool last year in fall camp where they opened it up to the Cougar Club and gave a chance to see that. I think they should do that during spring ball. Let the Cougar Club come in, see this team, dumb it down. I mean, I remember that fall camp practice. It was, they only had probably 15 plays. I mean, it's very simple, but still, the fans got the chance to see Bear. They were excited. It was like, let's go. We're ready for football season. I think it'd be cool if they did something like that for those donors, for the people that put their hard-earned money into BYU athletics. I think they should do something like that for Cougar Nation. I think one of the guys that would be fun to see in a practice for the fans would be running back Sione Moa. Obviously, LJ Martin, he's out recovering, and LJ said he's near return, which is interesting. But, we'll see LJ in the battles in the fall. So who's going to be the guys after him at running back? One of those top contenders is Sione Moa, and he's a guy that we all know. He's a very talented football player, but injuries have been an issue for Sione. I caught up with Sione this week at practice, and I started things off with a fun, lighthearted conversation question, asking him about an old recruiting photo that he had where he was balancing upside down on his helmet, and asked him if he's still got the ability to do that.
No, I can't do that no more. It was my young days, you know what I'm saying? But I wish. That was like, people think I was there for a long time, but I was like there for a second, and then I fell right after. So,
how has remind everyone the journey to BYU. You came back from a mission serving in California. I think it was San Bernardino, California, and then you come here to BYU. But originally you were committed to Navy, is that correct? Yeah. Just maybe the path to BYU and how it's been so far.
Man, it's been awesome. Obviously on the mission I chose, I hit up Harvey, hit up Coach Kalani and stuff, and told him I wanted to be a Cougar. And so when I came up for my mission, I gray-shirted and walked onto the team. And it's honestly been the best decision of my life. Met a lot of great people throughout the journey, like you talked about, and a lot of coaches, teammates, players, all those, like just a lot of. It's a great environment to be in over here at BYU, and so I'm excited. I decided to take a chance on myself and walk on over here.
And it's been pretty cool when you bring that and taking a chance to be a walk-on. Are you on scholarship? Or I guess everyone that's got a roster spot now has got kind of investment into it, but you're on scholarship now, right?
Yeah. So after my first year walking on, I ended up getting on scholarship the next year, and so that was a blessing.
2 years ago, you were going through spring practices. Can you speak to just the importance of spring ball for young guys, but also players like yourself looking to level up?
Yeah, it's definitely a place to get some mental reps for sure. My first spring ball, I wasn't getting as many reps as the older boys, which was fine, but I needed to always stay locked in. So that's just what some of the young boys, whether you're here at BYU or just playing college football in general, take those mental reps seriously, and like when you have your moment, like take advantage of the most of it, make the best of it. And so that's I think that's what's helped me these past two spring balls, is always staying locked in and be ready whenever my name is called.
And are you getting all the reps possible in this spring with LJ off the side as recovering? You're also working your way back. Are you full go in the team portions and getting all the reps you need to get ready for 2026?
Yeah, so I'm doing everything. I'm not fully under myself, but, it sucks that LJ's out, but I feel like it's good that I'm getting these reps and just making my way through recovery and stuff, trying to figure out how to play again, you know what I'm saying, how to run and all that stuff. And so it's been a journey, but I think these extra reps have definitely been helping me to get focused again and get my mind back on the game.
How intense was last year? And I asked that because I know you talked about it a little bit on a podcast, I think with Falau last season, but just maybe from that East Carolina game and that flight home to where we're at today, just the road to getting to this point, how it's been, trying to recover.
Yeah, honestly, it was one of the worst experiences I've ever felt. It was the worst. It was a bad 4-hour plane ride. I was in pain the whole time. I couldn't go to sleep. We got home at like 4 a.m. You heard it on the podcast. It was a journey for sure. There was definitely a lot of things that I learned, though. A lot of patience, humility, and just the road back to recovery. It wasn't just myself. I had a whole team behind me. I had my wife. I had the trainers, my parents. Everyone was supporting me, and so they eased the burden off my shoulders. And so, like I said, it's been hard, but it's all worth it now that I'm back here. It feels good. It makes you cherish the game more and just cherish what you had before. So,
how rewarding was it to get back though last season in the Big 12 championship game?
Oh man, that was awesome. I was surprised that I was able to do so. I probably shouldn't have. That probably made me step back a little bit, but that's the part where I had to be patient. You know what I'm saying? So. Throughout this whole winter training and even during spring ball, I'm still trying my best to give everything, but also, slow down a little bit and let my leg recover to the fullest. And so, still learning that stuff, but, I just want to play football.
Is that challenging at times? Because I think back to 2 years ago, that first spring, and even I remember it was the fall of that year in 2024, you were getting some opportunities with the third and fourth team, and I remember thinking, Sione I Moa back then is how you referred to, but you were making the most of your opportunities. Is that sometimes hard to try to say, take our time, like let's get ready for the battles in the fall?
Yeah, no, most definitely, because I just want to go. I had limited opportunities back my first spring ball and stuff, and so every moment I wanted to get on the field, and so it's translated still to this day. But like you mentioned, like we mentioned.
That's BYU running back Sione Moa here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Appreciate Sione spending some time with me. I got to say, it's really interesting to see, how he performs, because that injury, he suffered the injury against East Carolina, was dealing with compartment syndrome. You just go look that up. Like, I'm not going to get into the details of what the intensity of that is, but it's intense, and that's why I asked him about that. And the fact that he's back competing in practices, as he noted, not fully back to full speed, but he has been going through practice. And what do you make of the running back unit, Nate, and your outlook for this group after LJ Martin?
Yeah, to be honest, I wish they had picked somebody up out of the transfer portal. I think LJ Martin's going to be a fantastic running back this year. Hopefully he can stay healthy all season. But beyond that, Jovessa DeMooney's probably the next guy in line for me. I'm going into the season, Mitch, hoping that Sione Moa can stay healthy and contribute, but that was a pretty nasty injury he had last year. So I don't feel like it's fair to have high expectations for him. And so for me, it's a nice bonus if he's able to go and if he's able to contribute at a high level, but I'm not going to have that be the expectation I have for him going into the season. I think we saw a little bit out of Preston Rex, but the drop-off between LJ Martin and Preston Rex was so severe, and I think it's notable that Jovessa DeMooney was a guy that BYU seemed to lean on more early on, but he had kind of a costly fumble. I believe it was against West Virginia, and after that West Virginia fumble, he didn't see the field a whole lot until LJ went down. And even when LJ went down against Iowa State, it wasn't Jovessa who was getting the bulk of those carries. That was Preston Rex. So I think, looking back, I wish BYU had been a little more aggressive in the transfer portal for a running back. But at the same time, I can understand why they didn't, because it can be hard to recruit a guy into the running back room when you're rolling back with the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year and a second string potentially, who's Sione Moa, who's got plenty of game experience, and he's kind of a low-key fan favorite in some ways just because of that performance he had against Kansas State. So I can understand why they didn't pursue that aggressively, but I at least wish they would have kicked the tires on some guys. I know there was some running back out of SUU. He ran for about 1,800 yards. So even if it had been some kind of addition like that, but I guess we'll see how it goes.
And that transfer from Southern Utah, he ended up, I believe, at Ole Miss, if memory serves me right. So Sione Moa, if he's healthy, he is definitely an RB2. He is a really good football player. But you're right. I mean, it's just you want to be very delicate, though, with that, because that was a really intense injury, and you want him to be at full strength. And whatever happens after football, you want him to just have a normal life. That's you just have the full health going forward. So it's impressive that he's competing in practice. Jovesa DeMooney's interesting. Like, what confidence does he now have after a performance where he helped BYU win a bowl game? That should give him a lot of confidence. And then I think the wild card in this group is Devon Eka from Lehigh High School. There's been some buzz about him, and he's got better size than maybe I gave him credit for. I kind of thought of him maybe when you watch his highlights, his huddle on from his high school film. He maybe looked a little bit smaller, but in person, he looks pretty good, like 5'11". He's got good build. Now he's going to be in a college weight room to really add to that frame, getting ready for the fall season. You know, BYU's had a history with freshmen stepping in and be, impact guys. LJ Martin being one of them. He was the leading rusher for BYU in 2023. So maybe because Devon Eka wasn't the heralded recruit that you just think, he's not going to be looked upon to be an instant guy, but they really find him to be someone that could be an impactful player. So I'm intrigued by Eka. They've also got Micah Beckstead, who returned home from a mission. He was someone that was originally committed to Utah State. He could be an option too. But, yeah, it's going to be, developing from within. So we'll see how that works for BYU. It's just a little bit worrisome to your point because LJ, every year there have been injuries. Now, granted, he did play every game for BYU except for the bowl game this past season. As he noted, he could have played, but they wanted the surgery, which was absolutely the right move, so then he can get a head start on 2026. That was the smart decision. But, if he has a rolled ankle, does it become a massive drop-off again? Can the operation still continue at a high level? We shall see. But that running back position will be one to continue to follow. And Sione Mo, if he stays healthy, he could be a really impactful player for BYU. Let's take a break. Let's discuss a former BYU star returning to the staff. We'll hit on that next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
High five! Up top!
Dave's company just got the 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Yeah! It's 5 years of gig speed internet, advanced security, and a great rate that won't change. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
Heck yeah!
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Yes!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping. Woo!
For a limited time, now through March 29th, switch to Comcast Business to lock in your rate for 5 years and get a $500 prepaid card on a qualifying gig bundle. Or ask how to get started with 150 megabit internet and Security Edge for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Don't wait. Call today. Restrictions apply. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. Paperless billing and automatic payments with bank account required. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees.
Some of the most meaningful jewelry you own isn't new, it's inherited. A ring from a grandmother, a necklace tucked away in a drawer, pieces full of memories, but no longer your style. Duke's Jewelers specializes in reimagining family heirlooms into custom pieces you'll actually wear and love. Duke's on-site jewelers and designers work with you one-on-one to honor the original story while creating something fresh, modern, and uniquely yours. From resetting diamonds into new engagement rings to transforming multiple heirloom pieces into one stunning design. Every project is crafted with care, precision, and intention. Don't let meaningful jewelry sit unused. Let it live on beautifully. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Main Street in Springville or online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, where old stories become new treasures. dukesjewelers.com.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Jackson Hewitt handles your taxes and your stress. Inhale on no surprise price of $149 or less. Exhale, paying more for complicated taxes. You won't. Inhale, new tax law knowledge. Exhale, missing out on your biggest refund? Certainly not. Don't miss paying $149 or less. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients on Federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewett.com/149.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
When you need a new water heater, you need it right now.
Yep, can't wait on that.
When you need a new furnace or a new air conditioner come the summertime, you need it right now. So Superior Water and Air has a wonderful program where they can help you with financing. If you need it, get it today and pay it off when you get your tax refund or just over time.
And that's one of the great things is they have multiple financing options. It's not just one, okay, you've got to do it this way. It's, you can wait till just after your tax refund. Well, what if you need no payments until later in the year?
Yeah.
They can work with you like that because, look, they want to help you get you back on your feet with the thing that doesn't work that you got to use.
Yeah.
And they'll just work with your situation. What a great way to do it.
I loved introducing you to my friends at Superior because they're just great people. And when you invite somebody into your home, you want to feel good about them.
Yeah, and they're so customer-centric. That was what really impressed me was they wanted to work with me and my family, whatever needs we might have.
Right. They want your home to be safe and clean. Superior Water and Air. Here's the number, 801-872-8483, or go to superiorwaterandair.com.
Cougar Sports Saturday, live here on this March 7th. KSL News Time, 1:54 p.m. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you. BYU football, I'm excited about this addition to the coaching staff. BYU announced earlier this week that Daniel Sorensen, a BYU great, one of the great safeties in BYU football history, has joined the staff as an assistant safeties coach. So he will be assisting DeMario Warren and working with guys like Falatau Satawala, Raider Mooney. Man, what a luxury. Tommy Parasis. These safeties, they got some great coaches coaching them up. How excited are you for Dirty Dan joining BYU staff?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it, Mitch. I'm surprised we don't see more former players coaching more often because I think there's a number of guys who have the credentials to do it. Maybe just not the desire. I think of maybe some of Dirty Dan's teammates, like a Bronson Kafusi. I think he would have been a fun coach, even just as a GA. But I think he's going to do awesome. I think he's got that credible voice because he had a 10-plus long year career in the NFL. He's traveled. Obviously, has the good connections with Andy Reid. I just think he's going to be able to coach these guys up. I know there was a little bit of a loss with Jay Hill taking off because he was the safeties coach the last couple of years, but to replace Jay Hill with Dirty Dan, that's not too bad.
It's not at all. And not only replacing Jay Hill, but Gavin Fowler too. Gavin Fowler, now a defensive coordinator at Weber State. I mean, BYU lost pretty much all the secondary coaches, General Guilford, Jay Hill, Gavin Fowler, all gone to new spots. They do retain Wesley Johnson, Evan Johnson's older brother. He's the assistant cornerbacks coach. You bring in Lewis Walker, who's once been a defensive coordinator at Monmouth, was going to coach at North Dakota State. That's a powerhouse once in the FCS. Now they're getting ready for the Mountain West. And then DeMario Warren, as Kalani has noted many times, DeMario Warren was someone who helped mentor General Guilford. And he's a former head coach, even though it was in the FCS ranks. Like, still, that's pretty noteworthy. He leads the passing game, defensive passing game coordinator, and then you bring in Dan Sorensen. I think it's significant, too. What I love about Daniel Sorensen joining the staff, he's got such a dog mentality in that secondary. And I think what's cool, too, who would have thought, a handful of years ago that Kelly Papinga, who's now the defensive coordinator for the Cougars, he would be working alongside the likes of Gary Anderson and Sione Buha and even Kalani Sitake. Kelly Papinga was just kind of viewed as he's a Bronco guy. And Kelly Papinga has quietly built out his network where he can then tap in also to previous eras of BYU football from the Bronco era that were very good defenses. I mean, that's the thing about Bronco's time at BYU. He had some big-time defenses. Dan Sorensen was part of that 2012 defense. It's one of the greatest defenses in BYU football history. And he was someone that, in many respects, was a self-made man in the NFL. You last from 2014 to 2023 in the National Football League, and there was nothing ever given to him. He earned everything he got. You got to be a incredible mindset and the way you go about your business as a pro to that level. That's amazing stuff. And he got better, obviously, in the NFL. He was excellent at BYU. I remember he was like a 4-star, high-end 3-star prospect. Programs like Ole Miss were recruiting him. He came to BYU as a linebacker, then moved up to safety. But Daniel Sorensen, I think that is a big-time addition for BYU's coaching staff.
Yeah, I love it. I'm excited to see what of a difference he provides to the team, because he's kind of a late addition too. It wasn't like he was added during the complete offseason. I know it's still the offseason, but with spring ball underway, kind of how can he get acclimated? What difference can he make right away is something I'm going to watch for.
Well, and I like, too, guys that maybe they don't have as much coaching experience. They kind of rely a lot on, hey, I've done it at the highest levels in the NFL. I like guys like that in maybe less visible coaching roles. And I bring that up because BYU fans obviously experienced bringing in Ty Detmer years ago, almost a decade ago. But that was, and everyone pointed to, well, he did it at such a high level at the NFL. He's naturally going to work as an OC. It's like, that is such a pressure cooker in the OC spot, whereas this position, you can develop your coaching chops and really rely on that NFL experience, and that has so much credibility for guys like Falatau Satuala, Raider Damuni, but you're not facing the pressures of managing a position with personnel numbers and recruiting. You can just develop and work hands-on with guys. It's an incredible luxury, and I think that's where the value of a former NFL guy coaching a certain position, helping out with a position, is really valuable. So Daniel Sorensen joining the coaching staff. Let's take a break. Let's get to BYU basketball as it's a game day, getting ready for BYU versus Texas Tech next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Iranian officials are now accusing the U.S. of targeting a water treatment facility that serves 30 villages in the country. Trita Parsi is the co-founder and executive vice president of the Quincy Institute and says questions remain about what the Trump administration has planned.
The idea that you actually can build a democracy after having first destroyed the state is simply not something that we have seen successfully done. On the contrary, it is completely counterproductive to the idea of leading this toward a democratization. This is exactly what happened in Iraq.
Earlier today, Iran's president said the U.S. misinterpreted our capabilities, determination, and intent. Iran is also vowing to halt strikes on neighboring countries, but only if they refuse to cooperate with the U.S. Right now, President Trump is at Dover Air Force Base, where he just met with the families of those 6 Americans killed during the operations in Iran. It comes after the president attended the inaugural Shield of the Americas summit in Doral, Florida. The group's stated goal is to crack down on cartel activity in Central and South America. ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang.
He reiterated that he thinks Cuba is going to be next to fall, saying the country is at the end of its line, that it has no money, it has no oil, it's not getting either of those things from Venezuela. Now, notable that when the president said, quote, we'll take care of Cuba, he was met with applause by the Latin American leaders in the audience.
Search and rescue operations are underway in eastern Oklahoma following a deadly outbreak of severe weather across the Midwest. James Nichols is an EMS chief in the town of Beggs, Oklahoma, saying 2 people there were killed.
One home, according to my crews, was completely leveled.
In total, 8 people have died in the storms. You're listening to ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, our credit card bill came and it's higher than last month.
How? We haven't charged anything.
Paying the minimum isn't enough. It will keep getting higher until we take control. We need to go to 47fastcash.com.
With our bad credit?
47fastcash.com can help any credit type get approved for up to $5,000 in minutes.
Take control and get the money you need at 47fastcash.com. 47fastcash.com.
I've been telling you all about the Secret War on our cash and the free report you can receive a copy of by contacting Swiss America at 800-289-2646. I'd also like to encourage you to subscribe to their podcast on YouTube. Just search Swiss America Trading. The podcast can provide you a ton of vital information and financial news in the challenging and uncertain times we're in. Subscribe today. Learn more about BRICS, industry leaders, and their market predictions for the future, along with what you might expect to see in terms of precious metal performance in the weeks and months ahead. Message and data rates may apply.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But here's a big one you need to hear. Billions. That's the amount of money in refunds the IRS has flagged for possible identity fraud. Now here's another big number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. One last big number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, E-T-H-O-S. Ethos.com/Mike.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. You know I love to talk about shopping at NPS, a nice place to save. And it's fun to talk about all the treasures and the unique things that are out there in the store, but I want to focus on the groceries. When we take our grandkids in there, we love to go into the grocery section because they see candies and fun items and treats that honestly, some of them they've never seen before. But for those of us who are concerned about the inflation right now and the cost of feeding our families, NPS, boy, they can really save you money. As you know, throughout the store, 20 to 70% off everything every single day. But boy, they have additional savings that are almost unbelievable. So whether you're shopping for the absolute basics or you're looking for fun things for the grandkids or something for an upcoming party, NPS can really save you money. There are 4 locations, the 2 stores in Salt Lake, 1 in Layton, 1 in Orem. That's NPS.
Need office technology? Les Olson IT. More than copiers and printers. Les Olson is your complete IT office partner. IT services, cybersecurity, and any computer-related solution. Visit lesolson.com.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Richie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
It's going to be a late night at the Marriott Center for Senior Day, 8:30 p.m. as BYU gets set to take on number 10 Texas Tech. It's going to feel really late with the clock moving forward an hour tonight. Make sure to do that, folks. Move your. I mean, do you have to move the clocks forward anymore? Like, it's just everyone turns to their watch or their.
You do like in your car, but outside of your car, who really has a clock on the side of their walls?
Yeah.
I hate daylight savings, Mitch. Have I talked about this? Part of the reason I moved to Arizona, okay, look, it's not part of the reason I moved to Arizona. One of the benefits of living in Arizona is no daylight savings.
Yeah.
And now that I've got a toddler kid, dreading tomorrow morning, Mitch.
Oh, that is going to be tough. Because really in my mind, I'm thinking, even though, again, the tip-off is at 8:30 p.m. tonight, 7:30 pregame, really it's kind of like 9:30 because it's just like we're moved ahead. But anyway, hopefully it's a fun night. It's going to be worth our while to stay up because I'll tell you, the last time at the Marriott Center, that was a 9 p.m. game against UCF, and I'm looking around thinking, BYU's down 36, and we're staying up late for this? Are you kidding me? Hopefully it's nothing like that. I don't think it will, Nate. BYU seems to get up in these spots for the big teams. I expect that AJ and crew are going to show up and have an opportunity to win this game. Heck, BYU's a favorite, Nate. Are you blown away by that?
I'm shocked because I think it opened at like a 2. Texas Tech, I think, was a 2.5-point favorite. BYU is currently a 1.5-point favorite where I'm looking at right now. Or no, they moved up to 2.5. So I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't. But
The wise guys.
The wise guys in the desert. But like the Marriott Center is a really difficult place to play, and BYU still has some star power in AJ DeBounce and Rob Wright. So it's not like BYU's a bad team. They're just in a little bit of a slump, but you can't. It's hard to quantify home court advantages in college because, it can be rocking one night and then completely dead the other night. You talk about the UCF game. BYU isn't in that game from the jump. I mean, BYU was down by double digits by the first media timeout, and then the Marriott Center is just kind of silent. And maybe this is a side tangent, Mitch, but I feel like the environment in the Marriott Center's kind of taken a dip over the last few years. We'll probably discuss the fact it's senior night and everything. That senior night that BYU had against Gonzaga in 2020 was one of the best environments I've been in for any sport. And there was a game a couple weeks ago, the game against Iowa State, that was a rockin' Marriott Center. But I feel like for the games against the UCF and hopefully not tonight against Texas Tech, but sometimes the crowd is just a little lackluster, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's that UCF game. I will give them a pass because there was nothing to get excited about that one.
There was nothing.
There were games, though, against Arizona and Houston where BYU fans were just trying to give that momentum to the team. And Arizona and Houston, great teams, always had answers. That Iowa State game, as you noted, that was a rocking crowd. I don't know if that was the loudest crowd. I know a lot of Cougar fans, maybe on social media and message boards, were saying that. I always look at that 2020 Gonzaga game.
Yeah.
2011 San Diego State, even some of the UNLV games in the Mountain West era, there was something about the student section being being on the sideline and really just taking over. And I think it's worked out going behind the hoop for the Rock. They get the chair back seats, and they still are as loud as can be. But I think that era where the student section was there base on the sideline, I thought those were some epic games, and they were really loud where they took over that entire lower bowl, and there was just so much energy in that in those games that sometimes those get forgotten. And look, time goes by and you just kind of forget the sheer volume, or maybe I'm adding to the lore of those times. But that Marriott Center, though, when it gets rocking and this fan base gets rolling and they feel the confidence and this team senses that, it can be an amazing atmosphere. And I get the sense that Cougar fans, even though they're maybe feeling, I don't want to say down and out, I think Cougar fans always will show up. But I think that they're going to try to help be that sixth man for this BYU team. So I expect a loud crowd for this one. And I was thinking about this too, Nate. 1 month ago today, BYU faced and hosted number 8 Houston. This is the 4th game since February 7th, 1 month ago today, 4 weeks ago today, that they faced the top 10 team. Number 8 Houston, they lost that game 77-66. They faced Arizona, number 4 Arizona in Tucson, 75-68. They beat number 6 Iowa State 79-69, and then tonight, number 10 Texas Tech. It's the Big 12. It's an incredible gauntlet and a buzzsaw, but it also speaks to maybe some of the recent struggles that this has been a really tough road that BYU's navigated, and it's the 3rd top 10 opponent since Richie Saunders went down with the injury.
Yeah, and I think that's something that fans have to kind of keep in mind too. Is it's easy to get down about the losing streak. BYU starts out 16-1 this season, and they've lost 9 of the last 13. But the Big 12 is just really tough, and it's historically tough because even the last 2 seasons, the Big 12 wasn't this good, this deep. The top of the league was this good because they had a Houston who made it to like the NCAA championship last year, but the Kansas hasn't been a regular Kansas, and even Texas Tech, they're a top 10 team tonight. The past couple seasons, they've been kind of hovering around that top 25 mark, but they haven't been elite like they are this year. And so I think it's easy for fans to get kind of sucked up into the whole WCC. You lose a game and you're kind of out of it. And BYU fans had the same feelings with football when they got into the Big 12 as, you lost a game and the season's done. But it's not done because you can still have a game like tonight where, yes, BYU's seed in the Big 12 tournament's set. BYU is going to be a 10 seed. That tonight's game doesn't impact that at all, but it does impact your seed for the NCAA tournament. So there's a lot on the line from that aspect, because you're looking at potentially staying as a 6 seed versus if you lose and you don't perform well next week in the Big 12 tournament, you're dropping down to a 7 or potentially even a 10.
And I'm glad you bring that up, too, because I think a lot of people have brought up maybe that 8-9 threshold. Our good friend Robbie McCombs, he even brought this up on X, that 8-9 territory for BYU might not be in the cards because, as we know, BYU does not play on Sundays, so half of the bracket in the NCAA tournament is not available to BYU. Another bracketing principle for the committee, they like to avoid round of 32 rematches between teams that have faced off against each other at least once, or at least twice, in the regular season. BYU has faced Arizona already twice. Arizona is going to occupy the 1 seed, most likely, we would assume, in the West region, one of the regions that BYU can go to. So that 8-9 spot's not available. The 8-9 spot for the South region, expected to be, as of right now, UConn, the number 1 seed. They're expected to start their journey in a Friday-Sunday quadrant. So even though the South region is available to BYU, that 8-9 spot might not be available. So again, you get in this territory that if you continue to slide, get blown out tonight, which I don't think they will, but if they did get blown out, and then say, heaven forbid, you lose that Tuesday game against Kansas State, suddenly BYU could be a 10 seed, maybe an 11 seed. So that could slip in a hurry for BYU on seeding. They will be in the NCAA tournament. We've had some Cougar fans wonder, will they be in the NCAA tournament? Here's a stat for you that I think is really interesting. Since 2000, let's see here. Since 2011 to 2012, Big 12 teams with at least a 60% winning clip in the regular season. BYU currently 66% winning percentage. Since 2011 to 2012, teams with at least a 60% winning percentage from the Big 12 have reached the NCAA tournament 97.5% of the time. That's 78 out of 80 teams. BYU will be in the NCAA tournament. Heck, they might be in the NCAA tournament. Well, they will be in the NCAA tournament. If they lost tonight, it would be a losing record in the Big 12. They're currently 8-9. They would fall to 8-10, which would only be the second time or second time since 2006, 20 years ago, where BYU has a losing record in conference play. The previous occurrence was in 2023, BYU's final year in the WCC. A little bit different conference stretch in this year compared to those years in the WCC. So hopefully BYU gets some good vibes, gets some momentum heading into the postseason, because this is the most important part of the season.
Absolutely. One of my favorite sites to visit this time of year, Mitch, is bracketmatrix.com. It doesn't show you a full-on bracket, but it kind of gives you an idea for it compiles all of the different bracket projections to give you an idea for what seeds could look like. Looking at BYU's, Mitch, BYU's appears in all 101 projections, which not a surprise. BYU's a lock for the tournament. Their average seed is a 6.81, so they're hovering around that 7 line. If that were to hold, these are the teams in the 10 line. There's TCU, probably not gonna play in the first round. Missouri, Texas A&M, and Texas. Now, if BYU were to, say, win tonight and perform well next week and they move up to a 6 seed, you're looking at 11 seeds of Miami, Ohio, Ohio State, SMU, Santa Clara, VCU, Indiana. So
I like those a lot better.
I like those a lot better as well. I don't know if I would want BYU playing in Miami of Ohio, but we were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe that's not the death sentence I was thinking it would be earlier this week, because I have these nightmares of BYU in the 6-11 matchups where BYU is playing a first 4 teams of UCLA or Michigan State, and then UCLA runs off into the Final Four, and they've played Duquesne, and Duquesne is supposedly overseeded, so BYU has kind of a gimme game, and then BYU just gets roughed up.
And then LeBron gives them free shoes, and they become America's team. It's like, oh, geez, Duquesne's now suddenly this trendy team. Yeah, no, I get that. I was watching that Miami, Ohio team last night. They completed their perfect regular season. Not going to lie, I would love a chance for BYU to face Miami, Ohio, because that team doesn't play a lick of defense, and we know BYU struggles on the defensive end. BYU could outscore a team like that. And I must say, too, Miami, Ohio, I I support that they need to be in the tournament. They went undefeated. I don't care what conference you're in. You go undefeated in college basketball an entire regular season, you deserve to be in. But I'm not going to lie. The way that they handled their victory last night to complete their undefeated regular season, a little bit classless at the end. Some of the choice words their players were using to, I guess the Ohio fans were not the kindest to them, but it's like, this lovable underdog is not as lovable as maybe I thought now. So sign me up for a BYU-Miami, Ohio matchup, and let's see BYU in Miami, Ohio's perfect season if that gets the opportunity for the Cougars. But a lot of opportunities, and the first thing they got to do tonight is try to take down number 10 Texas Tech. We'll dive into the matchup a little bit further, and also give you an update on what the Big 12 tournament bracket looks like. Some games have gone final in the Big 12 today. Let's get to that next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Are you considering GLP-1 injections for weight loss? Before you start, ask yourself this. Are you prepared to spend $3,000 to $5,000 per year and stay on the medication long-term to maintain the results? Many prescription weight loss injections require weekly shots, and when the medication is stopped, weight regain is common. Research shows a significant portion of weight lost can come from muscle, which may slow your metabolism and make keeping the weight off even harder. At SLC Fat Loss, they take a different approach. Their doctor-developed program helps men and women lose 20 to 40 pounds in just 60 days safely and naturally. No injections, no synthetic hormones, no long-term dependence. They use real food to reset your metabolism, control hunger and cravings naturally, and help your body burn fat, not muscle. Right now, you can schedule a free 15-minute phone consultation to see if the program is right for you. Go to slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
Did you know 96% of Americans lose an average of $111,000 in Social Security income? And it's because they claim their benefits at the wrong time. Don't lose $111,000 in Social Security income that's rightfully yours. Learn how you could wring every nickel out of your benefits on Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL. News Radio 102.7.
I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer. So, Monty, I wonder if you know someone like this. He's the ultimate DIY guy. Restores classic cars, builds his own deck, and even smokes his own brisket.
Sounds like a talented guy.
He is. But get this, his other weekend hobby is troubleshooting his water softener. He's always down there resetting the timer or fiddling with the circuit board.
See, Doug, that's where I draw the line. Smoking a brisket is a great weekend project.
Yeah.
Fixing an electric water softener is just a chore.
Exactly. He thinks he's saved money by buying the bargain brand, but he's paying for it with his Saturdays.
That's the Connecticut difference. Our systems are premium because they are non-electric and fully automated. No computers to fry, no timers to reset. We install it and you get back to the hobbies you actually enjoy.
If you want soft water, do what I did and leave that to Connecticut. It runs on water power, not willpower. Learn more at softwaterutah.com. That's softwaterutah.com.
Only one type of burger. For every pallet. Fries are extra. Large in size. We've got the shakes. Going over the brim.
Hey, this is Chris from JCW's. Put a positive, delicious spin on your day at any one of our 5 locations. In Lehigh, American Fork, Provo, South Jordan, or Harriman. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Andy, I like that shirt. Is that a new shirt?
It is. It's from Ann Collar, and it's really rare to find a shirt that looks good and is super comfortable. And this is a fabric unlike anything I've ever felt.
I got one for my husband and my sons, and watching my 19-year-old put on the Ann Collar shirt and sort of check himself out in the mirror, I thought, wow, he's really digging that. And I can understand why, because it's not just comfortable, it's stain repellent, which I needed.
Oh, my goodness,
that
is something.
He attracts spaghetti sauce to shirts like you would not believe. And with these Ann Collar shirts, I can get it out.
I have to wear a special bib when I eat spaghetti with a white shirt on. But with Ann Collar shirts, it takes those little tiny nicks and stains, and they don't stick to you. Yeah, you don't have to dump a bucket of stuff on you, but it would repel that too.
You've got to try one. So whether it's the traditional white shirt or any of the patterns they have, it's Ann Collar, and they're made right here in Utah.
If you've never tried Ann Collar before, we have got permission to give you 15% off at andcollar.com and go get your first. Use the code KSL15.
That's Ann Collar, AND Collar.com.
love, laughter, and a little magic. This March, Utah Opera invites you to the Elixir of Love, Donizetti's sparkling romantic comedy that's fun, flirty, and easy to fall for. A mysterious potion helps love to bloom in this sunny story set among the California orange groves, March 7th to 15th at the Janet Quinney Lawson Capitol Theater. Tickets start at just $26, and you may qualify for a discount. Pick your seats now at utahopera.org.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you. It's one of the best times of the year on the sports calendar. The March to Madness, college basketball. This time of this year is always fun. The pursuit of something special, the build up to the NCAA tournament. I got to say, I've loved that BYU's been in the Big 12 because back in the old WCC, this used to be conference tournament weekend. Now it's the last week of the regular season when power conference teams are getting ready for their conference tournaments. So it's a fun time of the year. We've got some scores that have gone final in the Big 12 today. We touched on it earlier. Houston took down Oklahoma State 82-75. Kansas hammered Kansas State in the Sunflower Showdown 104-85. Darren Peterson had 27 points. Does that alter the number one pick watch? We shall see. Iowa State defeated Arizona State after a sluggish first half. They were down by 4 at half in Hilton Coliseum, but they put it on the Sun Devils in the second half, outscoring ASU 49-24 for an 86-65 victory. Then probably the most intriguing game of the day, TCU takes down Cincinnati 73-63. All that momentum that was built from Cincy goes out the door, and they're probably on the outside looking in still of the NCAA tournament, whereas TCU is climbing heading into Kansas City. And Nate, this is what things look like right now, tentatively. Again, nothing official yet from the Big 12, but based on where the standings are right now, BYU is locked in as a 10 seed. Whether they win or lose tonight against Texas Tech, BYU is going to be a 10 seed, facing 15 seed Kansas State on Tuesday in the Big 12 tournament with tip-off at 5 p.m., pregame at 4 o'clock here on KSL. If they won that game, I believe right now, Nate, they would then play on Wednesday against 7th seed West Virginia. That wouldn't be too bad if that's the path, because West Virginia and UCF and Cincinnati, all three of those teams are currently 9. Let's see here. They are currently 9-9, and West Virginia has the tiebreaker on both of them because they were a perfect 4-0 against those teams. So I believe West Virginia would be the 7th seed. I'd like a rematch against the Mountaineers.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a team I feel like doesn't really scare me if I'm BYU. I mean, as long as you can keep teams from shooting wide open threes, which I don't know if BYU can do that based off of the last 3 games, but I wouldn't have any concerns about playing West Virginia.
Then if BYU got past West Virginia, again, a lot of basketball to be played between all these scenarios, but just kind of giving a roadmap of what the road could be at the Big 12 tournament as of the outcomes today. The 2 seed is locked in. Houston at 14-4 in Big 12 play. They will be the 2 seed. So if BYU gets by their Tuesday game, a Wednesday opportunity, they would play 2 seed Houston in the quarterfinals, and I don't like that.
No.
I tremble at that thought.
Of all the teams in the Big 12, Mitch, Houston and Arizona just terrify me because it's an awful matchup for BYU's style, and I don't think it would go well.
I will say, against Arizona this year, BYU did an excellent job of taking away the paint both times and forcing, in Tucson, they forced Arizona to shoot threes. Now, that's not what Arizona does, yet Arizona, they made BYU pay and said, okay, you want to give us this? We've got the shooters still, even though we don't put them up often. We got guys that can hit that 3 ball. So Arizona and Houston definitely afraid of that. Now, where things get interesting tonight, we got to figure this out from the Big 12 officially. Looking at the standings, possibly, if BYU beats Texas Tech, I believe, would drop to a 4 seed. And then Kansas, who beat Kansas State today, that would create a scenario where Tech and Kansas are at 12-6, along with Iowa State at 12-6. Between those three teams that are tied, Kansas would have the edge winning percentage-wise in the head-to-head matchups. They would be at 2-1 against those tiebreaker teams. So I believe Kansas would be the 3 seed, which could set up a possible, if somehow BYU got by 2 seed Houston, they can maybe get a semifinal Friday night matchup against Darren Peterson and the Kansas Jayhawks, which that would be electric factory.
Would you want that to happen, though, Mitch? Because
yes.
if BYU's got to play on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday,
because that means
before the tournament?
Yes, because that means you beat Houston. And I feel like with AJ on your team, BYU then is suddenly trending up on the seed line for the NCAA tournament. Maybe we're now talking about BYU as a 5 seed rather than this 6 and 7 and 10 seed stuff.
If they're knocking off a Houston, they better be higher than a 5 seed, Mitch.
I think you'd still have to factor in the losses. The UCF loss was bad. The Oklahoma State loss was bad. You got to take in the whole body of work. But the wild card here that we've talked about off the air that's fun with this BYU team is that they've got a box office attraction. The NCAA, I got to think once BYU and AJ DeBonsa to get in some spotlight games. We saw that with Jimmer 15 years ago where they were on network TV and they were a main attraction. AJ's the same deal this year. So if you somehow got hot in Kansas City, I would love to see a BYU-Kansas matchup. But, yeah, if you took down Houston somehow, that to me, you'd be climbing. That would be one of the best wins in the sport. I know Houston's they recently had a 3-game losing streak where they were some of the best teams in the country, Arizona, Kansas included. But that would be a massive win for BYU. Again, a lot of basketball left to be played. But I think based on what I'm seeing from the standings that if BYU did take down Tech, that could throw the Red Raiders potentially on the other side of the bracket because like Houston, I kind of always get a little bit of nervous feelings facing the Red Raiders for BYU. Throw them to the other side of the bracket. Arizona would be on the other side of the bracket. And if you got a Kemba Walker type of run like UConn, get to a championship game, and then you can meet Arizona or Texas Tech or whatever it may be. But that could potentially be the path. But we do know BYU on Tuesday will face the K-State Wildcats.
I love that, Mitch, because this is an opportunity for BYU to build up some confidence heading into the NCAA tournament. And that's something that it doesn't seem like BYU has a whole lot of right now. Obviously, a three-game skid, and in none of those 3 games they looked very good. And so tonight's a big chance to bounce back, get on the right side of the win column, and get a few days of rest before heading over to Kansas City and taking on Kansas State, West Virginia, and Houston and maybe Kansas.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see. Let's dive into the 3-pointer for BYU versus Texas Tech next year on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
What if Jurassic Park really existed? Well, you would need a reliable mobile connection to keep you online at the park. With Xfinity Mobile, you have Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. Whether you're live streaming a T-Rex feeding or downloading park maps when you're lost in the Gallimimus Run, you can stay connected with Raptor fast speeds. Xfinity Mobile is there for you at home and at the park because it was born ready for you to roam. Xfinity. Imagine that. And now you can cut your mobile bill in half with 2 lines unlimited. Learn more at xfinitymobile.com. That's xfinitymobile.com and watch Jurassic Park. with Xfinity. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet required. Savings based on promotional rate for 2 lines of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited versus 2 lines of T-Mobile Experience More, Verizon Unlimited Plus, and AT&T Starter as of 2/10/26. Taxes, fees extra.
You thought your health insurance was affordable until the government took back the money they gave you. Ha ha ha. Did your accountant show you what you actually paid after the subsidy was reconciled? That help for many turned into a huge tax bill. And if your agent didn't tell you about what's happening for this 2026, you're in for a rude awakening next year because everything changed. Before you roll the dice into another year hoping it all works out, my Freedom of Choice plan gets you an affordable savings of 30 to 60% on premiums, gold level coverage, and no out-of-pocket outpatient deductible, and national network so you can go anywhere in the U.S. At My Policy Quote, I'll walk you through options that don't come with tax penalties. If you pay your own health insurance on COBRA, uninsured, or employer plan is just too much, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Couponing. Wow, you didn't strike me as the coupon type.
Just trying to stay ahead of inflation. Gas, groceries, everything. It's all more expensive. I need to save wherever I can.
Have you tried Upside yet?
Upside? What's that?
It's a free app that I use that pays cash back for every gallon of gas I buy. You've got to buy gas to get around anyway. Might as well get paid for it.
Come on, does that really add up to anything?
I've already made around $200. The extra cash helped pay down my bills, and I even had a little extra left to treat myself.
And the Upside app is free?
Totally free, and the cash back is real. You can transfer the cash right to your bank account.
I'm downloading Upside right now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code ENJOY to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code ENJOY for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary and gets in for 6.
Cougar Sports Saturday, a presentation of KSL Sports.
Ritchie right to the rim, driving score!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here's your host, Mitch Harper, on Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back into Cougar Sports Saturday. Mitch Harper and Nate Slack with you. So we're watching TNT in the studio here. TCU just took down Cincinnati in Big 12 action on TNT. And the TNT studio guys, Adam Lefkoe, Jamal Mashburn, Bruce Pearl, Jalen Rose, they just played the clip that was making the rounds this week. The Deseret News, McKay Coppins, host of Deseret Voices, had an interview with AJ DiBonsa, BYU basketball star, and he was having a conversation with AJ about his future and the NBA, and AJ left the door open, Nate. He might not be leaving. He says, I haven't said anything. You can all assume. Man. I'm not leaving. Or he says, I might not be leaving. My mom wants me to get a degree. Now, he said that all along, this whole year, that his mom wants him to get his degree. You really buy that, though? Think he might be coming back? No. You buying it? Or is he just gesture maxing, as the kids say?
He's just saying that. And my favorite part was when the host was like, oh, are you going to come back for one more year? He's like, one more year? maybe 3. Okay, 3's a little much, AJ. 1 game maybe or 1 season maybe, but 3 years?
Here's the one thing I will say, and look, you got to remember too, number 1 overall picks, Cooper Flagg, his salary, $14 million. Let me just confidently tell you, Cougar fans, and people that maybe aren't Cougar fans that think, oh, BYU is now just, you can buy anything in this world with money. No. I can tell you confidently, they're not going to be paying a player $14 million. Okay, let's get that out the way first. So that's what the number 1 pick makes. The number 2 pick makes $13 million. But in that interview, McKay Coppins with Deseret Voices, Deseret News Podcast, he asked AJ if he wants to be the number 1 pick. AJ said, yeah, I do. The one thing I will say about the 2026 class, it's either AJ or Darren Peterson. And I think there's some teams, like Kevin Young said out in Lawrence, I was in that post-game presser, Kevin Young's like, it just depends on what ice cream flavor you like, is how he compared it. Do you like chocolate? Do you like, what do you like? Do you like cookies and cream? Do you like cookie dough? They're both really good. It just matters what you like. What's your preference? So whoever gets the lottery pick at number 1 might determine who goes number 1. Because I will say, even though Darren Peterson, the whole sideshow of his availability and the questions about his personality, that was standing. When he is on the floor, it is effortless, and that shot-making ability is legit. He is outstanding. I've seen him in high school, saw him at a game at Highland High School in the grind session, and then also saw him in person at Allen Fieldhouse. The dude is effortless. Now, AJ, I think, should be the number 1 pick because, 1, I've just seen him a ton, and he's gotten better this season. Like, AJ, there's no question about his availability. That dude always wants to play, and he's left it all on the line, and he's always going to get his. I think, though, but there is a debate at that number 1 pick, and AJ wants to be the number 1 pick. I think, again, I don't think it's likely, but if he did want to run it back 1 more year at BYU, he would 100% be the number 1 pick in 2027, without question, because the 2027 class is very weak. I would say it is a big, big drop. This freshman class in 2026 is one of the greatest freshman classes maybe we've ever seen in college basketball, and BYU has the best one. But there will be a debate probably by NBA teams of DP and AJ. So I think that's the only thing I would say that might make AJ consider. And then obviously his mom. His mom truly wants him to get his degree. But as we know, Nate, you can get the degree
you can do it
on your time.
Yeah.
You can do your thing as a multimillionaire at the NBA level.
Yeah, the reason I don't think he's going to be running it back is because, 1 is just precedent last year. If there was anybody to run it back who was going to be a lottery pick, it was going to be Yegor Dioman. He didn't do it. I think that AJ is a competitor, and unless there's a 100% likelihood that he's going to go number 2 in the draft, I don't see him kind of backing away from that competition of going up against Darren Peterson for that number 1 spot.
Well, and here's my argument, too, to why he should not come back. I think, 1, we want to see AJ become the face of the NBA and get that contract clock started now. He's only 19.
Yeah.
There's something to that. Second, does he really want to go another year of dealing with the lack of space in the Big 12 and these officials where you don't get the whistle? We saw in the Cincinnati game on Tuesday, the dude gets pulled by his neck, no call, and then moments later, Keita gets called for a foul 94 feet from Cincinnati's basket. And it's like, what? How is there no foul? Seriously, AJ could go to the foul line 15 times a game, but they don't call it enough. Sometimes AJ's expecting the foul too much, but it's like, you get to the NBA, AJ's going to get even better in the NBA because he's going to be around guys that can shoot the 3 consistently. This guy's doing it at a high level every single night for BYU with a team right now that outside of him and Rob Wright, and Rob's been up and down as of late, there's no one that you confidently can turn to if you're AJ that's going to pick up the slack since Richie went down. Like, the thing that people forget about AJ, this guy wants to distribute the basketball. He loves to pass. But it's been kind of asked upon him, hey, you got to carry the load, man, and it's a lot of ISO actions. Remember back at the beginning of the season against Villanova? We're all kind of like, hey, take this thing over. Like, no, he wants to facilitate. He loves to get the assist. He can improve in rebounding the basketball, sure, but, like, this guy's going to be elite. I can't even imagine. I don't know why there should even be a debate between him and Darren Peterson, because I just think AJ is only going to get better. I think there's so much of a high ceiling with him, and he's not going to give you that uncertainty of, is he going to be available? Like, that is the biggest thing with Darren Peterson. If Darren Peterson's available, he's a stud. Like, that dude is effortless the way he gets off shots and his shot-making ability. The comparisons to Kobe Bryant, as a resident Laker fan who watched a ton of Kobe Bryant, I can kind of see the comp. Like, I get it, because Darren Peterson is elite in his shot-making ability, but AJ is just so reliable, and there's something to be said about that, too. So I think that was a fun conversation, but I do think AJ got Cougar Nation a little bit. Hey, folks, they got Bruce Branch coming. I think that the goal now is going to be get Bruce Branch to be a top 3 pick. Anyway, let's dive into the three-pointer. BYU versus Texas Tech. Let's fire through these, and then we'll get to our score predictions a little bit later. Stat that you're watching in this game.
I'm watching the number 12.1, and that's the average number of threes made by Texas Tech in Big 12 games this year. Obviously, that's a concern for BYU. One, because 12 is a lot of threes, and number 2 is because BYU gives up a lot of threes. So it's not a great combination. That's the number I'm going to be watching today.
I'm also going to go with the Texas Tech number 2. I'm going to go with the number 6. That's Christian Anderson, their star point guard. He's averaging 6 turnovers per game in his last 3. And that's of note because they've been 3-1 since JT Toppin went down, but he's turning the ball over a lot. Can BYU cause him to create mistakes? Because BYU hasn't always been the greatest when it comes to turnover margin and assist to turnover ratio. Win that aspect of the game, get him forced into some mistakes, get that Marriott Center crowd, get some energy there. So that's something to monitor, because Christian Anderson has been turning the ball over quite a bit as of late.
That's who I'm going to be watching. So for my player to watch, Christian Anderson, he is turning it over a lot recently, but he's also leading the Big 12 in assists per game at 7.7. And for a BYU defense that's been struggling as much as they have lately, they're going to be passing the ball around a lot. I just hope to not see a lot of those open three-pointers. But Christian Anderson on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to be watching pretty closely.
You brought up the three-point line for Texas Tech. For me, a player to watch for BYU is Kennard Davis. In games this year where Moo Davis has hit at least 2 3-pointers, it's happened 9 times this season. BYU is 7-2 in those games. One of the losses was against number 1 Arizona at the time. He hit 5 threes in the second half. But more times than not, when Moo hits at least 2 threes, BYU wins games. He is the ultimate X factor for this BYU team. If he finds his rhythm from beyond the arc, BYU can win this game. So Moo Davis to me is someone to watch for BYU. And then I think it goes without saying AJ.
Yeah. It's funny because AJ, he probably should be the player to watch every single game.
No question.
But you can't say that every week, or else it's no longer entertaining.
But you can't help but admire, AJ DeBonson. Again, I know he's left the door open a little bit, but just enjoy this man, because I think
3 games left potentially.
We're watching an all-timer do his thing, and AJ DeBonson's a special talent. Bold prediction for tonight, Nate.
Bold prediction. I'm going to say BYU is going to be up at halftime. And I don't want to give away my score prediction yet, but I'm going to say BYU is going to be up at the half. And that's a bold prediction because the last 3 games that they've lost, they trailed by UCF at home by 24 points at half. They trailed West Virginia by 14 at half, and then Cincy by 12. So I've got BYU leading the game at halftime. That's my bold prediction. What about you?
I'm going to say BYU commits fewer than 6 turnovers. I brought up that Christian Anderson's had a lot of turnovers as of late. Say BYU takes care of possessions and values the basketball. Fewer than 6 turnovers for BYU in this game. That's my bold prediction. Let's give our score predictions next here on Cougar Sports Saturday.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent from Alpine Home Medical, and I'm humbled to win Utah's Best of State for 2025 for the 15th year in a row. After 28 years, we're all about you. Over 1,700 5-star Google reviews and a 4.8 customer satisfaction score to prove it. We'll keep working hard for you. I've spent this year advocating with lawmakers for better Medicare reimbursement, ensuring you always have the best access to medical supplies you need. From Idaho Falls to St. George, our 11 stores are your home for comfort. When you hear Alpine Home Medical, think of that best of state experience every single time. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Ready for your next vehicle? At Performance Automotive in Bountiful, your new Ford, Toyota, or Honda is here. Built for Utah communities, canyon weekends, and everything in between. Choose capability with Ford, long-lasting reliability with Toyota, or smooth efficiency with Honda. Backed by friendly experts and financing options that fit your budget. Visit Performance Ford, Performance Toyota, and Performance Honda for your test drive. Browse inventory, check pricing, and schedule your visit at PerformanceBountiful.com. Performance Automotive in Bountiful. Driven to be the best.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. This is TV's Dr. Travis Stork for Eggland's Best Eggs. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, make sure you're choosing wholesome ingredients like Eggland's Best Eggs to plus up your nutrition. With more than 6 times the vitamin D and double the omega-3s and vitamin B12 compared to ordinary eggs, Eggland's Best supports a healthy lifestyle. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs. Visit egglandsbest.com to learn more.
Cougar Sports Saturday, the final segment of the program today. It's been an awesome show. If you missed any part of this program, we had interviews with BYU football players, spring football talk, BYU basketball, Big 12 basketball talk. It's all on the podcast, Cougar Sports Saturday, wherever you get your podcast, the KSL Sports app, the KSL News Radio app. So many different ways to listen to our program on demand, and we appreciate all of you for listening live and joining us on during your Saturday activities or routines or any errands you're running. We appreciate you spending Saturdays with us every single week here on the Legacy Home of the Cougars, KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper, Nate Slack with you. We're counting down until BYU versus number 10 Texas Tech. BYU, Cougar Nation, they are the favorite in this game. It feels weird considering the way BYU's been playing, but with this talent that this BYU team has, they've always got the ability to turn it up and pull off a big win. Nate, do they get it done and get that victory tonight?
I've been back and forth on this, Mitch. Earlier this week, I was talking with some friends, and I just wasn't very high on BYU's odds tonight. Looking over Texas Tech's recent games, they lost last game, senior night, to TCU on Tuesday night. They lost 73-65. Before that, they beat Iowa State by 9. They beat Cincinnati by 12. They beat Kansas State by 28. And then they lost to Arizona State by 5. I don't really give them much of a discredit for that win, that loss, just because that's the game they lost JT Toppin, and we kind of saw how the Richie Saunders injury took the air out of the Marriott Center against Colorado. But I'm gonna say BYU hangs in there tight. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I don't think it's going to be a game like the last 3 have been, where BYU is just kind of the game is over by halftime. But I am going to say Texas Tech comes out with the win. I'm going to say Texas Tech wins at 86-80. I think BYU is able to put up some points, but it's Texas Tech's 3-point shooting that I'm concerned about. I think if Texas Tech can hit single-digit 3-pointers, BYU will win. If they hit double digits, BYU is going to lose, and I'm expecting a BYU loss tonight.
You and I are in kind of lockstep with our vibes, because I'm with you. I want to just jump in, Nate, and say BYU's going to win this. I want to confidently just jump in to the deep end and say Cougs get this done. They ride the wave of momentum into Kansas City, and away we go. But I can't ignore these trends that are happening with this BYU team. Since February 14th, when Richie went down, so that includes the Colorado game where Richie did not play for 44 of those 45 minutes because that was an overtime win over the Buffs. BYU is 310th nationally in defending the three-point line. They've allowed opponents to shoot 38.9% from three. You've got a Texas Tech team that has sharpshooters like Donovan Atwell, who's number 1 in three-point shooting in Big 12 play at 48.1%. Christian Anderson, Jalen Petty, those are starters. It's a good Texas Tech team. I don't know if they're Final Four good anymore. I felt like that Texas Tech team in Lubbock, that BYU was up by 9, and Rob Wright was cooking. Rob Wright had one of his best games as a BYU Cougar against Texas Tech earlier this year in Lubbock. And remember that brief moment he went out? I think that was a spot where Tech started to get some momentum. Rob Wright quickly goes back in, but then the momentum was building for Tech, and they just went off and running, and they won that game in Lubbock. This is still a good Tech team, though. No JT Toppin, of course, but they've got a transfer center from VCU, Luke Bamboye, who BYU faced last year in the round of 64 from VCU. He's the starting center. He's been kind of mixed results in the 4 games for the Red Raiders since JT Toppin went out. I think I would give the edge to Keba Keita in that matchup. I think, one, because we've seen it, first off, in the NCAA tournament. Keita was better than Bamboye last year. But 2, when we see the best version of Keita, I feel really good about him as a player. You know, when Keita's at his best, that is an excellent player. It's like this BYU team. It's been a mixed bag. But I'd like to think, Nate, that on senior day, Keita is going to show up and be impactful. Like you, I think BYU is going to score points. And I think we're going to come out of this game, win or lose, and not question the intensity and the effort. I think the last home game, we questioned the effort.
I think if that was the case, Mitch, BYU fans would be okay with the loss. As long as it's respectable, they're not getting blown out. It looks like the team is trying. There's intensity. I think fans would be okay with that.
Like, I desperately want this team to get a win because, man, I think it would just do a world of good for their NCAA tournament outlook, the vibes going into KC. But Texas Tech is tough. They are a very physical team. They got that mantra of toughness, toughest team wins. I think they squeak by with a win. And they've had success with this grouping of players, Christian Anderson, Atwell, Grant McCaslin. They won last year in Provo. I think Tech wins barely 85-81. So our scores are kind of similar. I just can't ignore some of the trends defensively for BYU. And just when you're facing one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country and you're one of the worst three-point defensive teams, you got to prove it to us to give us confidence that that's going to change. I think BYU puts out a better effort, but I still got the Red Raiders coming out on top.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much in lockstep because I think BYU does have what it takes to win a game like this. They've done it before.
Definitely.
They did it 2 weeks ago against Iowa State. But it's the trends and it's the lack of effort. I don't feel like that's going to be an issue tonight. I agree with you. And that's why I think it's going to be a tight game. But at the end of the day, Texas Tech's strength is shooting the 3-point basketball, and that's BYU's weakness, and it's not a good combination for tonight. So that's why I feel like BYU's got an uphill battle tonight.
I'm curious to see what the starting lineup looks like. Hadim Boop, I thought was the right move going in against Cincinnati because I liked the concept of him defending Baba Miller, but it didn't work. Baba had quick 7 points before the under 12, and it's like, okay, this isn't the right matchup for Hadim. I wonder if they probably go to Mihailo Boskovic again, because Mihailo, despite his up and down play like many on this BYU team, I think KY likes some of the contributions that he's had in games. I mean, Mihailo's been impactful. That Iowa State game, he was really good. I think he would probably go back to that potentially in this game. Do you think this could be a spot where they go to Alexei Kostic, maybe, who's been trending up as of late? What would you do if you're KY with the starting 5 tonight?
I think they're going to start Boskovic just because he has experience starting, and I think his length, being 6'10", makes the closeouts a lot easier. And against a team like Texas Tech that's going to get a lot of threes up, I think having a lengthy guy like that for closeouts is going to be helpful. But I do think Kostic is going to play a lot. Looking at the box score from the Cincinnati game, and Kostic played 29 minutes in that one. I feel like it's going to be another game where he's probably going to get another 30 minutes or so. Mihailo didn't get any shots up against Cincinnati. I feel like that's going to change because I think he will get some runs today. He'll get some shots up, but I feel like maybe Kostic could be that X factor for BYU basketball, where if they do pull off the upset tonight, maybe it's you talked about your key player to watch was Kennard Davis shooting the 3 ball. Maybe if Kostic can connect on another 4 of 7 from deep like he did on Tuesday night, BYU can pull out a win.
A guy that it kind of got lost because BYU got blown out at Cincinnati, but someone that I thought had some moments of success against Cincinnati, particularly on the defensive end on the glass, Dominique Diomande. He had 5 boards. He played 13 minutes. I thought defensively there were some stretches where he showed some good, his length and caused some issues defensively for Cincinnati. Does that carry over into this game? Because I think you need a whole collective effort. You can't just solely rely on AJ. We know AJ is going to get probably 25. Somehow, some way, he's going to get 25. That's just what it is. They probably need a 30 piece from him, but the whole collective parts, they got to play well. Everyone that goes in that game tonight has got to play well, and I want to see BYU play a complete 40 minutes. It's been a while. Even the Iowa State game, there were stretches, there were some lulls in that game. Defensively, though, they showed you without Richie Saunders, this can be a good defensive team. Let's see it tonight, and as BYU gets ready to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. That's going to do it for this show. Nate, well done. Great stuff.
Happy birthday, Mitch.
Thank you again to that, and hopefully the Cougs can get a win on my birthday and give Cougar Nation the vibes of birthday euphoria with a victory tonight. That'll do it for this edition of Cougar Sports Saturday. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you tonight, 8:30 p.m. tip-off pregame at 7:30 right here on KSL.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
From ABC News,